And you're on.
What's up, everybody? This is episode what? Where are we at now?
This is number 8.
Number 8? We have our friend Seth with us today, and Seth is pretty much somebody, coincidentally, it was the first person I met in treatment.
Yeah.
And you'll get to know over the next however many hours how kind of intimidating that was for me as a new person in recovery. You had been coming off of what? How many days do you think you were out?
Oh, man. I don't know. I was probably up better part of like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I slept somewhere in the middle there. I don't know, man. I don't even know how long I like relapsed that time, right? From the time I left the door to the time I wound back up. I mean, it was kind of a blur.
I don't think it was that long.
I mean,
I want to say it was like 10 or 12 days or something like that.
Yeah. But on the straight, like I was high at the door for like a solid week. I would pull their, the chairs we had in front of the porches and stuff. I'd scoot that into the closet, and I was shooting dope in the closet because I didn't have a roommate at the time. So I'm just in there, dumb shit, bro. Dumb shit. Every morning I'd wake up and I'd walk down to the smoke shop, and I'd get me a piss mask, you know what I mean, the drinks you do, and I would carry it back in my little paper bag, and I'm drinking a mask. I'm like, oh, this is gonna work.
Yeah,
just the logic.
They took me into the room at the treatment center and had all my bags laid out, and they're making all kinds of fucking noise. They're talking. There's 2 RAs, and they're talking, having a full conversation with me, and he's dead ass asleep. And it's like almost as soon as they walk out, he just rises up. He's like, "We're going to the dining hall," and then that was my orientation. He took me around the campus and showed me. Do you even remember any of this?
Dude, I was pretty out of it. Like that's one thing. When I get to treatment, I'm like, "Hey, bro, I just need something to eat, and I'm gonna sleep for a couple days." You know what I'm saying?
I think
help me out.
I think you were there for 3 days before me, so this was your 3rd day because I got there sometime in the afternoon.
That's they don't detox meth, right? So you just sit there and sleep it off, which I don't know. That never hurt. You know what I mean? Get some food, get some sleep, kind of feel good, right? You know? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a little early on, but I remember the house meeting where it was very clear that Seth was high.
Oh man.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Marcus?
No, I wouldn't. So that was
before you got there, I guess.
Yeah. So
okay.
he went back for relapse protocol. That was my first time in there.
Yeah.
So he'd been at the door before me. That you were got there, I guess, right?
I think it was like about the first month I was there.
Yeah, because I think you were.
Yeah. I can remember when you came in because you were waiting on a spot or something.
I think it was because I came straight from treatment in California or something like that. Yeah.
I remember thinking like you were from California for a little bit, but you had sat waiting on a room to open up or something.
Yeah.
Something along that lines.
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember you just fucking twacked in this house meeting, man. It was gnarly.
Bro, no shame. No shame. No shame. No shit's given. Medley, he likes to tell a story, so I hope this dude hears this, right? I was in there, right? And I'm like, I'm full-blown relapse, you know what I mean? Over some bullshit, this, that, whatever, right? And I'm in there, and I just shot some dope, and I probably hadn't been outside all day, you know what I mean? And dope, meth. I called meth dope, right? So I'm scattered, you know what I mean? And I'm searching shit on this computer, and I got like my hair's this way, that way, right? And I'm bowed up. I got my belt through one loop, and it's hanging down. You know what I mean? I look like I just got a shower. I'm sweating, or maybe I did get hell, I don't know, right? And I'm just wild-eyed. You know what I mean? And Medley brings a dude from another treatment facility in to show our room. You know what I mean? And they're like, "Sup, dude?" And I'm like, "Hey, you know what I mean?" I'm like froze. My mouth is dry. I don't know what to say. And then I remember getting done with it, and I'm like, I did good. You know what I mean? Bro, I knocked that out of the park. You know what I mean?
Killed that.
Dude, I'm the man, right? I'm the man around this motherfucker. And Medley was like, "Bro, we knew like that fast you were high." And I was like, it kind of crushed me a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I felt like I had it under wraps. I was like, dude, I'm the man.
Hey, do me a favor and try to keep that mic about a fist away from your mouth. You can move it, bend it, whatever you need to do.
I think he's loud.
Whose mouth has been close to just before we get?
That one's been on the shelf, so you're good.
Oh, okay,
Nothing
straight.
crazy.
Cool. I don't know about these guys. You know what I'm saying? Never know.
Where Marcus puts his mouth, I've seen his Tinder.
Hey.
Just kidding.
Oh,
shit.
Can't say that anymore.
I was gonna say I don't know if he needs to. He's pretty animated and loud. I think he's got to.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, just relatively. It's Parker we got to fucking worry about.
Yeah,
Parker's so soft spoken.
It is what it is.
oh, what's up with that?
There's really no direction for this right now.
Yeah.
We just kind of sat down and started telling stories about the squirrel in the sink.
Yeah.
But I think Parker, how did you meet Seth? When did you meet? Because you came in like
I didn't meet Seth until I started at Treehouse.
yeah. Because all right, so that's how the timeline kind of went. Because I remember you left Sober Living, and then it was like right after that's when you showed up.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got there like mid to late November of 17.
Okay.
And I think you left like shortly before that.
Right before that, I think. Yeah. I think I got a 7-month lease, and we got out in July or whatever when we did that. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. Medley didn't like Kate or didn't like me with Kate. You know what I mean? And one of these things, and I'm like,
I remember that.
I was like, dude,
Now y'all are married.
Yeah. Now we're married. You know, we had that conversation because I was kind of resentful for a little bit, and that's on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I went up there one day. You know what I mean? And he sat me down and we're talking. How are you doing? This and that, whatever, right? And he's like, okay, I'm gonna lead with this. And I was like, what's up, dude? And he's like, rarely am I wrong. In your case, I was wrong. And I was like, man, that's as close as I'm gonna get. I appreciate that, dog. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that.
That is the closest thing you'll get with
But
that man.
him like telling me it wasn't gonna work out probably got us through a lot
I was
of
gonna
times.
say,
You know what I'm saying? I was like,
Just held on for dear life.
bro, that dude ain't being right. You know what I mean?
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Fuck that whole situation, dude. I ain't losing. Yeah, you know what I mean? Kate, we're getting married. I don't give a fuck, dude. You ain't going nowhere. I ain't losing.
Well, and I'm glad. I wanted to bring that up too, and I didn't even ask you about this, but it's because that so often does that fucking not happen, and it's like we have that conversation with so many clients so fucking often. In the back of my head, I'm like, I know one fucking time it's
Me
worked.
too, dude.
I know
Me
another
too.
rehab romance that worked out. John White and Haley.
Oh, really?
They
Yeah.
just got
yeah,
engaged.
yeah.
They've been together the whole time. They met in treatment, and they,
Yeah.
you know, so it's.
But how many times has it fucking happened?
Majority. I mean, vast majority. It does not.
I
work
think
out.
breakups are like the leading cause of relapse most of the time. You know what I mean? I mean, you just see it time after time after time. But I have a hard time, especially like when we get clients at whatever or sponsees or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I worked out. You were probably not going to work out. I shouldn't have worked out, but I don't know. It's hard for me to discourage them, right? Because mine ended up really cool, but that is not the case most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, in all reality, because what I remember of you back then to where you are now, and like we've never had a conversation about what you do for your recovery and stuff like that, but I get to see kind of what happens. You know, we share a sponsor, and he doesn't tell me anything, of course, but I know that you work with him regularly. I know that you've done a lot, at least recently, to really help your recovery. So compared to where you were then to where you are now, what does that look like?
Dude, that's looked so many different ways over the last, several years, right? So when we were in the door, we were beating meetings up. You know what I mean? At like 10, 12 a week. You know what I mean? Easy. Never had to worry about a lot of that stuff. And then towards the end of my time there, right, I started working out at the farm with the filling games.
Yep.
And I just sat out there, work, money, you know what I mean? And I was still hitting meetings. And then when Kate and I moved out, that was probably the hardest time because like that like freedom I wasn't ready for. You know what I mean? I can remember the first time we're in our apartment, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can go to Whataburger at 2 a.m. if I want. You know what I mean? Like I can do that. And it's been a while, you know what I mean? Because I went straight from jail, treatment, sober living, jail, treatment. So, and I was in that process for several years there, you know what I mean? And in the beginning, man, in the apartment, I don't know how I made it through that point because Kate and I were fighting a lot. Things were difficult. Still relatively new relationship, a little apartment, and then she wanted to get a dog, and the dog shitting all over the place. You know what I mean? And we're having to walk by each other to do everything. So everything was. I don't know how I made it through that. By the grace of God, I made it through that. You know what I mean? And then it was tech. I got so wrapped up in like grades, you know what I mean, and make it like, what do I want to do? And the path I chose to take through tech was it's difficult, and so I really worked on like grades, and like that was like my gratification, and I found out probably end of 19, I was like, dude, I'm dry. You know what I mean? I'm dry. And that's when John's like, hey, you want to come work at Treehouse? I was like, bet, I'll do a little bit. You know what I mean? And so I kicked that up for a couple months, and I'm like, I kind of want to work, rework through the steps. So I call homeboy up, and I'm like, yeah, we can say his name, right? Yeah. I called Michi up, and I'm like, hey, will you walk me through this? He's like, bet, dude. You know what I mean? And so I actually do more recovery. I reverted back to like what I started with. This is a long-winded way of saying like what I started with, like the AA that I drifted away from. And I tried the church, I tried this, I tried the school, I tried the, you know what I mean? Whatever. And I ended up full circle back to where I was before. And now I actually work a program. So, it's looked so many different ways over that. That's not really a great answer that I gave, but it's...
No, it is because that's kind of what I want to talk about. Is like it's so easy to like get discouraged over those years or those months or whatever it is because you're almost 3, like mine's 3 years 8 months.
I'll be 4 years May 26th.
Yeah, so mine's May 7th, so that's where my 4 years. So we're real close in that, and I know that I went through that same period. Mine was just probably a little bit behind yours because I was doing what I could and then working in treatment pretty much since December 2018 in some capacity, working with other addicts and alcoholics in a professional sense, right? Professional. So I had like at least something to kind of hold on to, but I was dry. And so my dryness lasted a lot longer and was a little bit more easy, I guess you could say. It wasn't as like abrupt. Maybe because I was immersed in recovery still, so I was still, kind of going to meetings, kind of doing stuff like that, and holding guys accountable. And so at least there was the reminder there, but it wasn't at all my own recovery until probably I would say about a month ago. You know what I mean? A little over a month ago, and we talked about it on the last episode. So all we talked about was the episode was called "This Pain Has a Purpose," and was Dan and I's last few weeks. And that's what's reinvigorated my recovery, what's lit me back on fire, what got me back through the steps. And it took like trial and tribulation. And I really wanted to highlight like the difference because like while nothing extremely traumatic or abrupt happened in your life, it was just life happening.
Yeah.
Getting the apartment, getting engaged, getting the dog, all that stuff that everybody wants to do. Everybody that's on this path wants to eventually end up doing, to understand that like, hey, it's okay to falter as long as you end up reaching out.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to ask about is like, was there anything like just what was it that made you realize that dryness was showing up, that you were actually becoming unhappy with where you were at in that moment?
So real shit, like I was sitting there, getting through it, and slowly over time, like I went from like I have to stay clean, right? Like I've got to stay clean. I screw this up every time, and I could realize I was starting to talk to Kate, and I'm like, I don't think I'm addicted to alcohol. You know what I mean? Like that crazy thing. You know what I mean? And I never acted upon it. And I always told her, I was like, as long as I have an obligation to the center, as long as I have something, you know what I mean? But maybe one day when I'm not at the center, they're not, because I ain't never going to be one of them hoes. You know what I mean? If I decide to do that. So if you're sitting at the center getting a scholarship and you're drunk or high, you're a hoe. So I want you to know that. You're a hoe. I'll say it. You know what I mean? You can catch me anywhere. That's real shit. But I started entertaining that. I was like, one day I might, and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, I don't even know what day. I'm like, that's dumb. That's dumb. You know what I mean? That's dumb. I'm doing something wrong. Like if I can, just the progression from, you know what I mean? I ain't never going back to jail. I ain't never doing this again. I ain't never doing that again to, well, like one of these days I might could, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to cook something on the grill and get drunk. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, you're doing something wrong. And it was less of reaching out to Kate was really like, hey, work at Treehouse. Hey, work at Treehouse. Hey, work at Treehouse. And one day John was over for a fight and he's like, bro, come work at Treehouse. You know what I mean? And like that, being around those guys and getting that moment to like, that extended period to like see them in those early days, I was like, yep, yeah, not going back there. Not going back there. Do it right now. Don't go all the way back around. That's dumb. You know what I mean? Like, do it right now. Do it right now.
I've definitely had that same thing where it's like worldly things, tangible items or commitments or whatever it is what I've been hanging on to.
Yep.
And it's by a fucking thread sometimes.
Oh, dude, some days for sure. Recovery by association, you know what I mean? Stay around it, you know what I mean? Linger on to everyone else's recovery. And like, I just kind of keep following the pack, but I wasn't living it, you know what I mean? And it feels a lot better today to live it. You know, coming and doing stuff like this with y'all, right? This is really outside of my comfort zone. You know what I mean? I'll chop it up with like 2 people, this, that, whatever, right? But I don't like people watching me. You know what I mean? I don't like talking into a microphone. That's not. But that's real. It's something that I can do today. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna enjoy doing. Right? Like this is cool because I really got into it. You know what I mean? I'm really falling into it now. So.
And that was the next question I had is I guess compared to the first time we were going through the steps back in 2017 and going through the steps now in 2020, 2021, what is the difference, I guess? Because what I've noticed, at least for my own life, the first year, there was a lot of like spiritual experiences, profound moments, all these dopamine hits that I was getting from recovery. It was all these really overwhelming physical things. And it hasn't been like that now, but it's much more, it's like it's got legs, you know what I mean? I can feel whenever I go through a process, whether I sit down with a sponsor, with my own sponsor, whatever it is, it lasts, it's not so fleeting where it used to be. Like when I did my first fifth step or whatever, insert whatever thing that I did, it was like immediate and I could feel it. It was like getting a hit of dope. But then now it's not like that. It's much more like easy. I kind of ease into that feeling and then it lasts a lot longer. And so that's my experience with going through the steps again in long-term recovery. I don't think 3-4 years is necessarily that long, but it's much more than that within that first year. So what has it been different? How's it been different for you? If it has been different.
I think the sincerity level for me has been different. I think that's the biggest thing because I never had like the profound, you know what I mean? The bush burning moments like in the beginning where I was like, oh my God, you know, I was like everyone else, man. One day it's a meeting. I'm like, man, that's cool. You know what I mean? The next day it's like, I'm glad I'm not in jail. You know what I mean? And then the next day it's a girl, you know what I mean? It's Kate or whatever, running around and doing that stuff. So, but now it's like sincere. I guess I felt obligated to work them then because I mean, my reality was I was facing like big trouble. You know what I mean? And so then it was like pushed upon me. And I guess I just feel a lot more sincere because this time around, I saw something deficient in myself. Not everyone else seeing it, not someone arresting me for it. Like I saw I saw something deficient in myself. I knew where to reach out. I reached out. I found somebody. And I just feel better because like I chose it this time. You know what I mean? It wasn't forced upon me. I wasn't clinked up having to do it. You know what I mean? The downside of this is like I don't call my sponsor now. I'm going to stay sober another day. You know what I mean? But I know now like the sincerity level, the fact that if I do call him and I get some shit out sometimes, like I feel I sustain a better feeling. You know what I mean? So I guess I don't know what like the huge difference is, but you worked a pretty solid program like early on. You know what I mean? You went through some stuff, did all the right steps. You went and volunteered down in when we had Beaumont, Beaumont and did all that stuff. I went to a bunch of meetings. You know what I mean? John Kelly was my first sponsor. So, like, you know, I caught him. He was doing an HNI out there. So, like, we talk about a little stuff, and then we bang Newports down. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, bro. Listen to this Suicide Boy. You know what I mean? That's what my first sponsorship system, you know what I mean? And shout out to that dude. He's, like, super cool. Great friend still to this day. But we ended up too cool almost that I don't think he could tell me, like, yo, you're fucking up, you know what I mean? Or something like that. It was too cool of a thing, right? And then, but now, homeboy will tell me, you know what I mean? Yo, you're thinking about this all stupid, you know what I mean? And I'm in a place now, I mean, I guess that's another thing that changed, is I'm in a place now where I can, like, receive that. And I'm not like, yo, fuck this guy, you know what I mean? Like, I can be like, maybe I am fucking up. You know what I mean? Maybe I can look at it. So the place I'm at mentally, emotionally, you know what I mean? The fact that I chose it now, so many different things. It's just, it looks completely different from head to toe.
Well, and I'm asking you a fucking ton of questions, but...
Oh, dude. That's cool. I hope I'm answering okay and not sounding like an idiot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Try to stay a little closer if you can.
I love Theo Vaughn.
Gang, bro.
Hilarious, bro.
Gang.
What would you attribute that awareness to? Because I think it sounds like there's a lot of fucking awareness. There's a lot of people that'll get to that 2-year period, 2-year period, start to fall off, quit going to meetings, and then all of a sudden you hear about them casually drinking like that.
Yep.
And then who knows how long that's sustainable. But that awareness that you had to see that, hey, this isn't going to be fucking sustainable. I know myself better than this. I know where I've been. I know what I've come from. That awareness to actually reach out and understand that is a deficiency. It isn't just, this, hey, I want to have a beer every once in a while. This could be a healthy relationship with alcohol. Where did that awareness, do you think, came from?
Man, I can't put my finger on like any one place or like one trait that I have like in my head, but I'll tell you. So Kate and I were married, middle of the summer last year during the pandemic, whatever, right? And after we went and looked at a wedding venue, you know what I mean? It like really, after we did that and we sent them the money and stuff, it really started to sink in that like, I'm about to do the white picket fence shit. You know what I mean? And ours doesn't look like normal, right? I mean, I went back to a little bit of age difference, right? And there's a lot. It's not your normal white picket fence situation, but I'm like, man, I'm gonna be a husband. I'm gonna be a, I am a father, but I'm not a real good father to that one yet because of a distance and things like that. Like we're working on our relationship, and that looks a lot better now. But like the weight of realizing that like there are other people relying on me, that I was like, dude, why would you even screw that up? I guess it was less about something in me and more about like a circumstance that happened, because I really started thinking like, I don't want, you know what I mean? Like if she's going to spend the rest of her life with me, I should be the best I can be. You know what I mean? And the best I can be is not a casual drinker. The best I can be is not locked up. The best I can be is not a needle in my arm. The best I can be sober and aware, you know what I mean? And willing to take advice and reach out to other people and educated and so many things, you know what I mean? But so I just try to strive to be that now. And I fall short a lot, right? I think all of us do that. That's part of the journey. But man, I try really hard to get there. You know what I mean? So
something you touched on that I've noticed too is like this. There's a number one thing I've seen people that go back out, especially those of us in school and stuff, is drinking was never my problem. Yeah. Like I've heard that, I've seen that play out for a lot of people, and
it's like me saying heroin was never my problem.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like heroin. I mean, alcohol is the most socially acceptable thing in our society, and it's fucking everywhere. But like, I know for me, like anytime I did drink back in the day, like I'd get wasted like quick, and on accident, and like, but yeah, it's funny you said that, because I've thought that a lot, and I've told sponsees that. I'm like, man, that thinking is fucking dangerous.
It is, and I could recognize that before. Right? Before that period where I got to that place, I could recognize that before, and I could recognize that after, right? So it was that period in the moment where, I think that's what triggered it for me, is because I'm like, that's not right. You know what I mean? That's not right. Like, that's dumb. That's dumb. And I hear so many of them say it now. You know what I mean? I talked to a guy about his story here the other day, and he was the same thing. He quit meth, way on back, and then he was like, oil field, right? This, that, and the third, and drinking got him progressively over years, you know what I mean? And it was so far back, like in my memory banks when I drank, because I'm a meth head through and through. Like I don't want to fuck with nothing else. Like, bro, I'm like, you know what I mean? I'll throw a small child away for meth. You know what I mean? Like fuck any possession I got, fuck any money. You know what I mean? I will chunk heroin out the window, pit, whatever. Like I'm meth. Like I like meth, right? And it's probably I've been 4 years in May. I've been sober off drugs, right? But it's probably been 6 years since I've had a beer. After I got a DWI in my early 20s, I was like, I ain't trying to go to jail for this shit. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like this is dumb.
If I'm gonna go to jail, it's for something real.
Yeah, no, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna carry something I can swallow. That ended up in a lot of bad situations because the bags got bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And I wound up in a hospital. Yeah.
There's something you said to me a long time ago that I never forgot, and I remember we were talking, because I did meth a few times, and I remember talking about like I hated the psychosis of being up for like a week, and you told me like, oh, I love that shit, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, so maybe this is like my theory on it, right? But when I was young and I was in it, I was fucking crazy. You know what I mean? I'm seeing people jumping in trees. I'm shooting at shit that ain't there. And it's like, but after a while, you can't manage it, but you feel like you can manage it, right? You know what I mean? So like, instead of shooting at them in the trees, I'm talking to them. You know what I'm saying? So like we're way different now. You know what I mean? It's my homeboy. I ain't got to buck around off at him. We're cool now. You know what I mean? That's my dude.
You become familiar with the psychosis.
Yeah. I mean, you're comfortable there. You know what I mean?
Like, that guy, that's Tyson Rogers. Yeah, he's a shadow person.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, man.
I think you told me that story. Wasn't this in like a nice neighborhood? You're shooting a gun into a tree. It was in the middle of a town. Yes. Yeah. Police got there. Yeah. It was a whole deal. Kansas. What was the name of that town? Marysville or Seneca, something. I worked a pipeline up there. Yeah.
Right. Once upon a time, I got out of high school and I went to college. You know what I mean? On a livestock judging scholarship, right south of Amarillo, little place called Clarendon College, and I did a year. And I couldn't stay sober for shit, right? I couldn't go to class. I mean, I was just flunking out of this sumbitch. So I had to take summer classes to get my grades back up, right? Well, I'd opened a fireworks stand, you know what I mean? So one night I'm out there and I'm doing a little meth, and I get a hold of some shrooms, and I'm doing some shrooms, and I'm shooting fireworks off like 10 foot from the fireworks stand. And this dude comes by drunk. He's like, "Hey, bro, you trying to work on a pipeline?" And I was like, "What's up?" He was a union rep for 798. It's a welder union out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's like, "Oh, there's a job kicking off in Kansas." You know, I don't even know how like the conversation went from us doing shrooms and blowing shit up to, "Hey, do you want a job?" like shame on that dude, right? But he cruised, you know what I mean? Me and like 6 other dudes end up there, and I called my parents when I crossed the Oklahoma-Kansas border. I'm like, "Yo, I'm dropping out of college and I'm going to be a pipeliner." You know, they're, "What the fuck?" You know, it was bad. They were big mad. But I got up there and I had done some meth, but that was the time I found like what a needle was, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna war story a whole bunch, right? But I found a needle then. We found anhydrous ammonia. I figured some Bill Nye shit out, right? Some old school dudes helped me out with some chemistry and you know, shake a bottle for a couple years and it's cool, right? Like, yeah. Crazy times. And I couldn't manage like the psychosis then, you know what I mean? So I'm out there running amok, dude. You know what I mean? I see something in the tree, I'm going to shoot at it. And then police come and you're having to explain to them why you know what I mean? And like, you kind of flash back into
reality.
Yeah. Like, "Oh yeah. No. I'm sorry. Dude, bad times.
How did you not catch a charge from that?
So it was like it was just discharging a firearm in city limits.
So you did catch
Yeah. It was a fine thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I went to jail, bail out, right? I mean,
Damn.
wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it was a pretty small deal there. Same crazy story, right? That same time, I had a homeboy back where I'm from, and I used his ID to get into a bar. This was before I'm 21, right? So I go in there and I meet these other 2 young cats. They're like, "Yeah, we're underage." I was like, "Bro, I got an ID. I'll get us all." You know what I mean? So I'm up there buying beers. We got that pipeline money. You know what I mean? We're chunking cash at them, whatever, right? And they get fucked up and they go home and their mom beats them up. You know what I'm saying? I guess she's like, "Are y'all drunk?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she bop puts the mitts on them, right? So they go to jail and they're like, "We were getting drunk down at the wagon wheel." So they go to the wagon wheel, the police, you know what I mean? They watch the video, they find me, you know what I'm saying? So the whatever the lady who served us was about to be in trouble, and she's like, "He had an ID," you know what I mean? And then they end up finding me somehow because I came in like 2 days later, right? And they're like, yeah. And I ended up getting a contributing to minor while I was a minor, right? So it was a whole deal. Yeah. How I did that was crazy. They're like,
call real quick.
Oh boy.
They're like,
Calling.
This is a contributing to minor. I'm like, "Bro, I am a minor." They're like, "You're not 21?" I was like, "I used a fake ID. All right, well, not a fake ID, a real ID, but from another dude with a beard.
Yeah.
He's cool. Don't worry. I stole it out of his wallet. Don't worry."
That was the only charge? It's just a contributing minor, not the other fucking things that they could get?
So like publican talks or MIC or whatever it was then, you know what I mean? All misdemeanor charges or whatever.
You know, I don't really care if I think war stories are great. I like hearing them because I like to know how bad they get, you know. So if you want to tell some more, I'm down with it. It's up to Marcus, I guess.
I'm gonna tone that either way, right? Like, cause what if Kate sends it to my mom? I'm sorry, Mom.
That's true. This is going on the internet, so whatever you don't want to put out there is don't incriminate yourself.
We're definitely not going to do that. You know what I mean? There's a couple. Me and Michi now are taken to the grave. You know what I'm saying? Those
are locked away.
Yeah. That ain't never going nowhere. Damn sure not into a microphone, right? But yeah.
You still got some funny ones.
I got some funny ones. I mean, yeah.
I think you've got some good sober ones too,
dude.
Man, so the first time I met Seth was when I started at Treehouse. I had heard about Seth. I had seen Seth at the center, just like walking through, and so like when I first like saw him at Treehouse when I got there my first day, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen him around before. But Dan's bitch ass for like the whole time, like when I got to the door for the longest time, he would like see Marcus or John Kelly or other people I went to sober living with, and he'd be like, hey, Parker said he could whoop Seth Baker's ass. And I'd just be like,
that?
Yes, you did. To John Kelly, both of y'all.
I don't remember doing that at all. That sounds like a
instigate.
John thing, bro.
No, you did it. You did it.
I don't remember that.
And
if I did, it was a joke.
well, yeah. But I just remember.
What a dick! You trying to get people hurt, dude.
I think that's John, because me and John always John will always ask me, who do you think Seth or Grissom or Seth or McGregor?
Right.
I'm always like, Seth, bro, he's fucking crazy. He'll fucking bite your ear off.
I give it to Grissom, right? He got the cardio, you know what I mean? So, unless you get Grissom in round like 22 seconds, you know what I mean? Who wants to fight a monster like that? You know what I mean? 60 seconds later, are we done? No. I'm like, bro, tone it down, okay?
But man, yeah, I remember just like, I remember one of the times it happened at the center, and it was you, Marcus, and John. And, like, y'all all three, we were down in the basement just cracking jokes. And then, like, Kip walks in. And, like, one of y'all said something to Kip. And Kip was just like, Parker. Like, people thought I really thought that. Like, Kip walked in and was like, Parker, don't do that. I'm just like, dude, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I'm not. And then I met him, and I was like, good God, no. Why would people say that? People trying to get me
I really don't remember doing that. That sounds like a John Kelly thing. So I don't.
Probably a John Kelly thing for sure. Like at some point.
If I did it, it's because John was like, "Hey, dude, tell him."
He fucking instigated it.
Yeah.
He did it right in front of Vince. Remember when we were outside the?
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
You know what Seth says to me? Well, I don't even remember what John said. It was something along those lines. And Seth looks up and goes, "What?"
I was just sitting there because Vince was being, you know what I mean? Everybody was sitting over there talking, and I'm about to have to go on a shift or something. And he's like, yeah, he said he could whoop you. And I was like, Parker, don't do that, man. You wouldn't stick your hand in a chainsaw, would you? Or something like that.
I was just like,
Have you guys ever seen Seth mad? I have. It's
I don't think so.
It's pretty wild.
he got a little upset with me.
Yeah, those moments happen.
It wasn't like.
It wasn't up yelling. I stayed sitting down the whole time. I stayed sitting down.
I remember the night when a certain roommate of yours had brought a girl home. She ended up in a different room in the house, and you got involved.
Yeah.
And I wake up to fucking screaming, and I go outside, and it's a fucking like screaming match. And
yeah, bro, that's second day out of treatment too.
remember.
You know what I mean? That's my second day out of treatment.
Fucking shit up off the roof.
I had to fade that fool. It is. Yeah, that stuff happens, right?
I was asleep upstairs during that, and I heard just a bunch of commotion. I was like, I don't know what the fuck. I had been there for maybe a day or two,
Yeah.
so I was not about to open my door to that.
it's so crazy to me that anybody survives sober living. Like it's fucking like, let's put all these fucking drug addicts in this house together, apartment complex.
Yeah.
And let's just hope for the best. Like, that's fucking crazy.
The whole concept, like now that I'm thinking about it, I've never really thought about that. You know what I mean? Working in one, right? We're like, oh, this promotes sobriety, right? But like if you're standing back, you know what I mean? And you're like,
This is not gonna end well.
Bro, you're taking the bad seeds from every group and you're putting them together, right? Like,
And they have a little bit of freedom to go out and come back. Right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I just gained a whole new outlook on sober living. You know what I mean?
When it's good, it's great. It's amazing. Like, I loved the fact that we were all there together.
Yeah,
there was
absolutely.
always somebody to hang out with. There was a lot of good memories, but it is a crazy concept that somebody came up with. But it's necessary. It's necessary. Like, I tell sponsees when they're like, I don't think I'm going to do sober living. I'm like, man, I think you should. Like, it's, I did it, and I don't think I'd be sober today without it. But it is fucking weird that we just.
I think, a big part of it too, it depends on the group.
That's 100%.
Because we just go through cycles where we get a solid group, and then we get a group where just everybody gets fucked up, and then we go through a solid group again.
Let me see that book over there. Yeah.
So that's
how good my recovery is. There's a book, a big book in my studio.
Yeah.
There used to be more of them.
I'll vouch
for
about
the show.
I'll vouch about that. That was like 3 foot from you. You're the man. You're the man. Equipped. But so that made me think right there, right? Like at the Cove, right? Like that's a different deal than like what we get at Treehouse. You know what I'm saying? Is y'all sustain them a little longer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Ours is like at Treehouse, it's typically like a pit stop to a place like that. Like at the door, there were a bunch of us there for a cool minute.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some of them changed here and there, but there were a lot of us for a cool minute. You know what I mean? I like a good while. You know, I mean, come in the summer, we were dove hunting by August.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
September. Yeah.
September.
I mean, I was there for a whole year.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes is like guys getting out of that mentality that first 30 days. And because I brought this up because it talks about this in the book, and it was just a reading that we had in CA the other night, but it says the feeling of having shared in common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us, but that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. And it's almost exactly what we're talking about. Is like we're all fucking bad seeds from different areas of the world, but we all come together, and that is not what it is. It binds us, right? But it's not what's gonna keep us here, right? Because then it says right after that, the tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out in which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. It's that part you got to get to, because we can all be the fucking shared in common peril. Like that's pretty easy to be in. We did that for a long time, but you have to get to the second part of that, the beginning of the next paragraph, to actually have sustained recovery, to actually have like a good community. It's when he says like it depends on the group. The same thing. You have to have gotten out of that first 30, 60, 90 days to be able to understand that you don't have to fucking be that way anymore. You don't have to live that way anymore. And I think that's why one of the reasons I really wanted Seth to be on here, because I know where he's been. I know the fucking stories. Like, I don't know where he's been, obviously.
Who he's been in.
everywhere.
But I know the stories. I remember the first couple of days of his sobriety. I remember all of that shit. And to know where he's at now, like, that's a big change. It's a profound change, especially to have the awareness and the ability to go back through the steps now, almost 4 years sober, and to see that shit's happening. That's the second part of this reading is discovered a common solution. Like relying on the steps, relying on the community, relying on the group that he surrounded yourself. I mean, fuck, you knew Michi from all the way back then. And to ask him to be your sponsor now, like that's exactly this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it is, and they're contacts that like once you shake off the ones that'll dwindle out during that first 30, 60, 90, right? Like what I've found personally, like my personal experience is like I've found friends for life. You know what I mean? Like the dudes in my wedding, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You guys, like I'll know for life. And that's crazy. That like most of the time in my life, you know what I mean? Before all this, motherfucker met me. He didn't want to know me for life. You know what I mean? Like they're like, I hate that dude, right? Like, I hated me. So I understood everyone else hated me. You know what I mean? But I don't know. That's crazy.
What's crazy too is like the variety of people and identities identities. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, there's two guys in treatment right now that, like, one's a farmer and the other one's like a marketing guy. And when the farmer dude came in, he's like, I don't know about that guy. Like, I don't think we could ever relate. And now they're best fucking friends.
Yep.
They're always together. They're always cracking jokes together. They're
Yep.
about 15 years age difference, and they're inseparable. And it's beautiful. And like that's the same thing with us. Like all four of us are very different. We all have different DOCs. Like we probably would have never met in the real world besides recovery. And like, you know, like I love all of you guys, and like everybody I've met that is still sober with us, and even people that aren't. Like it's crazy how different we are, but like we have this one thing in common that fucking unites the shit out of us, like regardless, you know. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is the different type of people you get to. Yeah, I mean like that John Kelly, like we are all nothing like that, right? Dude, and like I love that kid, the Stevies, you know what I mean? Like
you and Stevie are the weirdest fucking combination,
and
that just
love
speaks
it.
to exactly what.
Dude, it's so
Seth's
fucking
little brother.
awesome, though. I mean,
Yeah.
watching that just like relationship and that interaction happen,
yeah.
it's great.
He always called, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when I faded off from everyone else, he always called, and so like for a little while, you know what I mean? Especially when I ain't gonna tell him much of it. When he decided to trigger back out for a little bit, you know what I mean? I'm like, whatever, man, do your thing, you know what I mean? And now I'm not gonna do that anymore. Like, I told him, bro, you get high again, I'm gonna fade you. I'm cool. You know what I mean?
I think, but you did though. He's got a scar to prove it.
I'm gonna fade you worse.
This time it's gonna be on purpose.
Yeah. This time it's gonna be on purpose. Yeah, that was a whole weird ass deal, right? That was a weird. The cup
Didn't you
got
like
him.
just try to throw just a cup of water on him?
I was trying to wake him up so I could punch him. I'm the kind of person you're gonna see it coming. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to know you got. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, what happened? I want you to like look me in the eye, be like, hey, do you understand what's happening? And he say, yeah. You know what I mean?
And then
sign the waiver shit, and then we'll get it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I'm a wicked. You called me fucking. I put some water in the cup, and it was like one of those heavy Yeti cups. You know what I'm saying? I go to splash it in his face, and I was so mad. I came forward and bro, it blew his shit up, and he's. And I said, shut the fuck up, pussy, get up. You know what I mean? I look at John, I go, bro, he needs stitches. Yo, this dude, like, that's bad. That's bad. We could lay a roll of quarters in that thing, bro. That's bad. That's bad. And so I go pick him up later. I had to go on to work. You know what I'm saying? This is like 7:30 in the morning. He was barred out, whatever, right? And I said, hey, you're going to Celebration tonight. You know what I mean? So I went and picked him up. He still smelled like alcohol. His eyes wide open. And I drug his ass to Celebration. Bro, that's my dude, man. That's my dude.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but it's such an uncommon match. You would never, because Stevie's what, 20?
22.
22-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You're what? I don't know.
32. 32. Yeah. Yeah.
But he needs that. You know what I mean? I don't think. Because I don't know if he loves you or if he's scared of you.
I think it's a combination
I
of
think
both.
it's both. Yeah, it's
I think it's
absolutely both.
because anytime something happens now, you know what I mean? Even his mom will be like, did you call Seth?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, and I've talked to his mom's name, Michelle. I've talked to her on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I've texted back and forth with his dad. I mean, it was just one of those situations that, like, he was out and then kind of went back in, and somehow I got a hold of him. I had to let him know about some stuff. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail with all that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
His grandma passed away. We sent stuff up there. You know what I mean? Like, his mom sent us something for a wedding. Like, his mom sent us something for Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude,
Awesome.
it's crazy.
I mean, it's the same thing with Parker and I. I don't think we would normally fit well together, but it seems like, or any of us. I mean, really, any of us.
No, I would have never met any of you guys. We're all so different. Like,
Yeah.
I love all y'all. You know, like Parker and I, we have some common friends from Abilene. 'Cause that was like my old stomping ground. But like, Parker's a football guy. I'm a fucking like, you know, musician, druggie. Like we would not have been in school together. Same with you guys. Y'all were like kind of the shit kicker crowd. Like I didn't hang out with those people. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's I love it.
Yeah. I saw a video of you in a dress when you were a young man.
Why are you gonna fucking tell me?
Hey, he showed me that too.
God damn it!
What?
Fuck! Motherfucker, don't.
Dude, he has to now.
All right, let me preface it. So
No, I don't want you to preface it. I just want to show it.
well, it's
Is it a preface or is it like a justification?
That's a, I guess, explanation.
Okay.
I don't remember where the fuck it is.
It's a sketch
It's a sketch about what?
about Tiger Woods. So we used to do this thing in my hometown called C40, and it's where there's 40 churches in Scurry County.
40 what now?
40 churches in Scurry County.
Hold on.
And every
Go ahead.
year we get together, like all the kids in the town will go stay at somebody's house, and then we'll go during the day. We'll go to the auditorium at the school, and we'll do like worship and stuff. It's like a church community thing. The whole county, the whole town does. And so every year we do a video competition where we come up with a silly video, and the winner wins or whatever. And we did one that the year we did this, it was when Tiger Woods got caught cheating and stuff. And so I played one of the like hookers that he was cheating with. And
I'll just go ahead and scroll to the.
now I'm gonna have to put it in the fucking podcast
Yep.
because they're not gonna be able to see it. And god damn it,
Were you the good-looking hooker?
I mean I had long hair and titties and ass. You know what I'm saying?
My man.
Oh.
Oh, there he is.
Most beautiful thing I've seen in 6 months. You have the eyes of a dolphin in the wind.
Of a dolphin? Did you say a dolphin?
Yeah.
Legs. Wow.
Look at those fucking shoes, man.
Dude.
I know that you can support me in anything I would like to do.
Oh my god.
Ah!
Oh my god.
Is there
I
worse?
fucking hate you.
I would
Oh
like
my
to
God.
thank goodness, bro, that I made it through everything with a video not like that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean that's before I even got.
He'll
like,
tell his
that was-
story of all of his drug use.
That's me in church, dude. That's Christian band.
I know. I'm just saying the story of life. You know what I mean? Not even the drug story. You can't catch me on one of those. You know what I mean? I might have some embarrassing like high school pictures my mom made me take, right? But I didn't do that, dog.
Hey man, we won, so you know.
Hey, bro, worth it. A win's worth
And
anything.
it's still on YouTube.
Yeah.
Who owns the video?
I have no idea. I don't even know where the link is. My little sister sent it to you. Basically, she's like my little
Yeah.
sister.
I don't know where she found it.
It's like I'm sure she's just known because her brother's in it. Like her brother's plays the wife of Tiger Woods, and that was my best friend, man. And yeah, it's crazy. I don't. There's so many things I look back on my child. I'm like, oh my god, that's so cringy. But it's, it's funny.
That's my favorite thing.
I know
ever.
you can support me. I
I hate it. Now I'm gonna have to put the clip. In
Of
the
course,
fucking
I'll,
episode.
have
I'll
to.
send you the link right now. Don't you worry about it. This is your early creative years. This is
Bro, we could get like a screenshot of that and print it,
Oh
like
my
on a
God.
canvas.
Oh, we
up here.
100%.
Kate, when you hear that, do that. Like, when you hear this, do that.
I'll just go ahead and send her the link too.
Okay,
She will
bet.
fucking do it.
Yeah, absolutely,
Oh
bro.
my fucking
Bro.
I'm gonna send it to her right
Mad
now,
creative.
unprompted, and see what she has to say about it.
Yeah.
Marcus is going to be an asshole and put it up on the big screen on the projector in the center.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, don't.
That's what he did to me. I wasn't wearing a
What?
dress, but
He used to have this thing where he would pick up my phone, and it's always locked, right? But you can
Take
get
a
access to
picture.
the camera,
Uh-huh.
and so I have a bunch of pictures of his face, just his face.
At least it's this face. I mean, we can
Thank
thank goodness
God.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of directions you could go with that.
But so I would put it up on the big screen before celebration, so people would walk into the celebration room, and it was just his fucking face. Because I have it set up where I can just Bluetooth my phone right into the projector, and then I don't remember how many fucking people did it, but we ended up. It was like at least a dozen of us had our profile pictures on Facebook, and it was just his face.
Yes, Parker,
Dude, I remember
all
seeing
zoomed
that.
in.
I remember seeing that. I was
What?
like, I don't know this dude. What are they doing? You know what I mean? I was like genuinely confused by it. I'm
What's
like,
funny is like one person did it and then everyone just did it without any
Yeah.
like, conversation.
it
Like,
wasn't-
I-
it
like
wasn't
people that
three
I
months
hadn't
in.
talked to in a long ass
Yeah.
time, like Curtis.
Yeah,
It was before I started at Treehouse, and I hadn't talked to Curtis probably.
yeah. He just fucking jumped on it.
And Curtis was on it. I saw an update.
So
Curtis
many
was like,
random
"What
people."
the fuck?" I'm sure
I had
people
only
were
s-
like, "Did he die? Did he relapse? Like, what's going on with
My
that guy?"
mom texted me
he
and
die?
said, "That's not you."
Yeah, I mean, thanks. I don't even know how we got on that, so thanks for that. But
There's him on you. You seen that, right?
yeah, because I think Parker was
What the fuck?
Yeah. What is that one? See that one?
What is that one?
Seen him with his double
Oh
glasses?
yeah, that's my
Oh,
contact
yeah,
photo
yeah,
for
yeah.
him. What was the other one of me?
No tooth and
You're gonna have to send me those so I can put them in the video.
The bidet one's funny.
I got you, bro.
Do you have the video of the bidet, or do you just have screenshots?
I screened so they sent it on Snapchat. It's
Yeah.
like click, click, click.
When was that?
Cop
Because
that.
That was
think
our
it's-
first podcast with you on the
I was about to
bidet.
say.
That was
the
our.
first one.
When would
Yeah.
that have
So
been?
I have a bidet in my bathroom, and Marcus had never used one, and the thing is powerful. I got good water pressure.
I'm a fucking idiot
And-
too.
and-
Okay, here it goes.
He sat down on it and he cranked it full blast, and he just.
I thought that's what you were supposed to do.
Nope.
I thought it was an on-off
Fucking
switch.
45 psi right in the gooch,
And
dude.
these dudes
Bruh.
did something too that I would never do. They take a shit in a bathroom with no curtain over the window when 3 people are standing right outside the window.
Oh yeah, I have a video
There's
of
a
you
curtain over
somewhere.
it now.
That is not smart.
There's a window on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
towel
a-
on the walls.
Ah.
Yeah,
Because
see,
they
here's
kept
a-
doing that shit to me.
this is the bidet video.
You're gonna have to send that to me too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was gonna. I thought it was an on-off switch. It has a,
Nope.
a pressure adjustment.
Yep. That motherfucker blast you too, man.
On off switch.
Dude, it was loud.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
loud.
it's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in my no-nos, man.
When
do
I
you-
when I installed it, my girl came over and I was like, "Check this out." And she's always looking at it, turned it on, I sprayed her in the face. It's clean water. It's not nothing nasty.
It's pretty gross still.
So, we were talking about how we're all very different, and it's like, our ties that bind because we went through our addictions and stuff. So I don't know where you want to go from
I
there.
mean, my
but-
closest friend for a good year was the guy that was twice my age,
Mm-hmm.
like Bert.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I moved in with him, went to treatment with him, lived with him at Sober Living.
Yeah.
He moved out, and then a couple months later, I moved in with him, and I lived with him for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was 52, I was 27. But
Yeah.
the dude I did the most with, hung out with all the time. I mean, we were
Well, that's
together
just
all
because
the
you're
time.
practically fucking 52. You had
My body feels 52.
But on the cool, like, I stigmatized age for a long time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
things just got more. I hate to use it, like fluid. I guess when I got to recovery, a lot of us are. I'm over the 30 mark. Y'all are knocking on its door heavy, right? And going back to school and things like that. I mean, most of these are 19-year-old cats,
Yeah.
right? I mean, what are you, 27?
28, yeah.
28, yeah. I mean, so most of them are not, you know what I mean? 19, you know what I mean? Like, asking you to buy them beer and shit like that. that we go to school around and things like that. So
I still swipe right on them on Tinder just in case.
bet.
It's a numbers game, dog.
I know that I did feel weird about that when I first got into school. Whenever we would have to do groups
Mm-hmm.
I
and
fucking
be with
hate it.
dude, it's not so bad now.
Yeah.
When I first got back into school, I was just like, this is weird as fuck. Like, I'm old. These motherfuckers are 18, 19,
Mm-hmm.
20. And it was really a group of, I think it was 2 semesters ago. It was like all girls. They were all 19. And
Oh, dang.
What a bummer.
I love my old lady.
but we got we met for the first time, and we kind of like just went around, told a little bit about ourselves. And so like I told them, like, part of the thing was they wanted, like, the prom thing that we had to do for class was like age, where you're from, this and that. So I told them, and then they just asked questions, very, very interested, and like did a very good job of not making me feel weird.
Yeah.
So now I've kind of just like go into like those situations with the same thing. Like, fuck it, I'm here.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, I'm got to be here. Let's just embrace it. But when I stood up from my fucking English class last week, they made us do the whole typical stand-up. Tell us who you are, what's your major, what's one interesting fact about you. And like, I'm not going to say I'm a fucking drug addict. Like, I'm not going to start off with that. So I said, well, my daughter's about to turn 8. And everybody was like, what the fuck?
That'll show you age real quick. Yeah.
Anyway, I had a mask on so you couldn't see my face. And I'm wearing I dress like a fucking college kid. I'm trying to assimilate a little bit.
We know.
Yeah, we know, bro. We all like the thirst traps for you, my dude.
I appreciate the boost. Thanks. fellas.
Hell yeah, bro. We got you. If you ain't got your homies, you ain't got nobody.
So I'm sure that was a little bit of a shock. And then the teacher, she's a graduate instructor. She goes, "Oh wow, she's getting older," like as if she knows my child.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's old. And I just said, "Yeah, me too," and sat down.
Thanks.
Have you ever bombed in a class trying to make a joke? It happened to me the other day, man. She was like, "What's a valid source?" And I go, "Not Wikipedia," and nobody laughed. I was like, "God damn it."
Bro, I'm the cool, like, and I'm pretty outspoken, like, around it, right? But in class, I'm a nerd. I'm just over there with my little pencil.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, please be quiet. You know what I mean? I'm that dude, right? I'm dumber than y'all, so I need all the help I can get. Please shut the fuck up.
I try to keep my head down. I don't really talk in class
So-
much unless I'm talked at.
What's cool on, like, the current, so I struggled a lot with that, right? Like, the age difference and things like that, right? When it was, like, an English class,
Yeah.
1301. You know what I mean? I had to retake a 1302 or something like that. And that weighed on me heavy. You know, I don't know. I just always felt like weird, right? Well, now I've transitioned into the petroleum engineering program, right? Mm-hmm. And these kids I you know what I mean? I do my homework with, study with, and things like that. They're like, "Oh, what did you do before this?" I'm like, "Oh, I miss the drug part of it right now because I don't know them like that yet, right?" But I'm like, I got out, worked a pipeline for a little while, and then transition, broke out on a snubbing unit in North Dakota. Well, because that's work-related experience towards the degree that we're all there for, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? They're like, it's like so cool. So it went from like I felt weird to like they're asking me mad questions now. You know what I mean? I mean, they're like, oh, that's all. You know, yeah, because I mean, realistically, like it gives me an advantage in that. You know what I mean? You typically like get the degree, then have to go get the experience, and then I did a lot of that, the grunt stuff. You know what I mean? The put your hands on stuff, the hurt yourself stuff, right? So it worked against me, I felt like, to begin with, and now it's like working for me. You know what I mean?
That's cool. Well, I definitely deal with the anxiousness of it all, like feeling, especially with first week, you know, like I'm like, God damn, like I'm in English 1301 right now, which is a freshman class, and I'm a junior,
Making
and I'm
dumbass
28.
jokes.
That was a different class, but still, it's like, you know, all of the other people in the class, and it's a lab. There's a lab, and it's like 5 people, and they're all freshmen, 18-year-olds. I'm like, God damn it, dude! I'm literally 10 years older than these. I'm older than the fucking TA, you know. And but I'm you know, I've come to a full circle where I'm like, I'd rather be here now than at 50 or 40, you know? So it's like, you know, just fine. Just like be good. I'm never going to see these fucking kids again. I don't have to really fuck with them. Hopefully I don't get put in a group with them, you know, but it's just like, you just got to deal with it. And I don't know about y'all, but if you ever had a class with somebody that's older than you, like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I'm not the oldest motherfucker in here.
So
right
I'm the
now.
oldest one in the petroleum. When I can tell, I'm like, damn it. You know what I mean? But you two, y'all are all like contemporary and cool, you know what I mean? Like the way you talk and stuff. Parker and I are bearded fucking old men looking motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't hide my redneck, right? So I look old. You know what I mean?
Well, I've had one kid in one of my classes. It was 2 semesters ago. He said I looked like a fraternity kid that never graduated and came back to school.
Some Van
And I was
Wilder
like, so
shit.
that's what I look. I look like a kid that was
Embrace
in fraternity
that,
that fucking that didn't graduate and came back 7 years later.
Home dog, he got called somebody's dad the other day.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that
Like,
up.
tell your dad to come in. You know what I mean? I know you Amish are hardworking folks. You know what I mean?
I took a client to a job interview, and he went in. Well, he went in to fill out the application. The guy came back out and was waving us down before we left. And he was like, he rolled down the window and he was like, tell him to come in. So he started walking in. He walks in, and then after he comes out, and I was like, what? So how'd it go? He was like, he thinks we're Amish. And I was like, how'd it go? He was like, he told me that my dad could come in too.
Parker looking around like, what?
It's like, fuck, man.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Going back to what you were saying
This
earlier.
kid's probably like 3 years younger than me too.
You look old as fuck, dude.
The only difference between y'all is your beard's longer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really.
That's how they're measuring your age.
Yeah.
Big beard dad, little beard son.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying earlier too, like having that work experience apply to your petroleum engineering plan, it has actually, because we all work in treatment now, and having like a history in addiction and recovery and having like firsthand experience in it we're all on the CFAS board, like was it called CARS now?
Yeah.
Community Addiction Research Science.
It's counseling addiction.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Oh, I'm down.
I have no
Everybody
idea.
on
What
Tinder
it
is community.
I still put CFAS when they ask what.
Yeah, because
I didn't even know it
haven't
changed.
learned the
That's what it means. That's what it means. What the fuck, guys?
Anyways, they changed it. Whatever. But it's all about addiction recovery sciences and stuff like that. Addiction rehabilitate, whatever. Anyways, so
don't tell me the R is different too. Bro.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's always. I'm pretty sure it's always been rehabilitated. But so having that life experience, like I got to go up to a professor. I always try to talk to the professors. I'm the fucking nerd too. I at least try to meet them and talk to them.
Fucking grades don't show that you're the nerd.
The only reason
The
only reason I have grades at all is because I talked to the professor.
That's fair. It's hard to fail a motherfucker that you like. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
they're like, God, this dipshit. All right, man. Hey, I'm on it with that, bro. I'm
Exactly. So I walk up to my educational processes in family consumer sciences, which is a lot of fucking words to call it home economics. Right? I didn't know that. I thought, oh, this is going to be such an intriguing class. It's got a lot of fucking words in the title. And then he tells us on the first day, so this used to be called home economics. And I was like, oh, fucking great. But I introduced myself to him. Pat was there with me. I told him, like we run a program. We have this sober living home. Told him all about it. Gave him my card and everything. And like having that experience, having that to give him and show him was just, he knows who we are in the classroom. You know what I mean? He asks questions. He calls Patrick Kentucky. He doesn't know our names, but he calls Pat Kentucky because Pat always has something Kentucky on. But at least having that experience, education, whatever you want to call it, definitely gives us a leg up in our programs too. And so when we get into groups and things like that, I always have something to bring to the table.
Yep.
And it's usually has to do with my current work, whether it be, over there or at the Cove or whatever it is we're doing, my experience with my own life, there's always something that I can bring to the table. So the one thing I want to highlight with that is because we have all of that shit, yours with previous life experience, work experience, ours with work experience now and previous life experience, there's always going to be something that shit may be uncomfortable to walk into that setting. It may be uncomfortable to go in there and be the fucking old guy in class. It may be uncomfortable to be the one covered in tattoo. Like I found that was kind of weird for me to have tattoos in front and all these kids that they kind of look at you a little bit weird. So I
always get compliments. I like.
I mean, I do too, but like it's just like another thing that
one other thing that you stand out for.
Exactly. Because like I'm like the only one in there that's got a fucking arm sleeve. And so it kind of makes me like that. Sure, it's like there's a little bit of like I did it for a fucking reason, right?
Yeah.
I did it because I wanted people to notice me, and now I'm like, God damn it, I'm covering it up because
noticed.
I don't want people to notice, right?
Yeah.
And so at least having all of that shit, all of that life experience, walking into that setting, there's something to be able to like look forward to. There's something to not be so fucking nervous about because it's like, yeah, we are in a totally different situation. We are coming in here at a disadvantage, but in reality, we have a big fucking leg up in this deal. You know what I mean? Huge leg up.
Big advantage. So what, like I know the ratio of mine, like in y'all's, we don't apparently know if it's CFAS or SARS or counseling. We don't know that, but whatever that program is, whatever that is, right? We don't know that, okay? But what percentage of them do you think actually dealt with an addiction and just chose it? I mean, if you could look around, because most of them that dealt with an addiction, especially in this small community, like them, right? I mean, that are in an active program.
Addiction,
I mean,
probably less than 10%.
Less than 10%.
I so experienced it themselves. Yeah, less than 10%. But I think I've met plenty of people in my classes that they've been affected by family members, by close friends, that aunt and uncle, distant relatives that they've dealt with it.
Mom,
that
dad,
way.
brothers,
right?
I mean,
so
nuclear family members,
yeah. That's
I feel like
I figured it would be higher than that, right? Because the thing that like when you get sober, right, you feel like all your homeboys, I mean, present company included, right? All your homeboys want to be a counselor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I dealt with mine for a little bit where I was like, man, I think that's what I want to do. And then I realized I don't listen to people very well, so that kind of faded that out for me. I was better fucking with a math problem than I was people.
I've honestly thought this about you since as you told me you were doing petroleum engineering. I was like, man, that's perfect for Seth because he's got the work experience. And, you know, I work in oil field too, and I remember we deal with engineers that didn't know shit.
Yep.
And we fucking hated those guys.
And ragged on them.
Oh,
yeah,
my
ragged
God.
on them.
So
Yeah.
a guy that's actually knows the field,
Yep.
like you're just going to be, you know, better, you know.
And so what's crazy with mine, right, is like I get into that program. So at Texas Tech, and I really want to revert back to the addiction part of this, but I want to tell you, at Texas Tech, 38 people. So they graduate every May, and I stay with the same class until I get through it. 38 people are accepted this year. So unless some of them in front of us fail and have to graduate with us, May of 2.5 years from now, you know what I mean? So 5 semesters. I'll graduate with the same 38 people. I mean, barring none in front of us have to drop into ours. So if you like mess up, you have to wait a whole nother year to get back on rotation, right? Yeah. They'll help you out during the summers and stuff like that. But if you mess up a fall one, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe they'll do something over the winter, whatever, right? But in that whole 38 of us, 2 of us have been on a rig, like 2 of us. You know what I mean? And the whole thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he ain't been on one very long. You know what I mean? I talked to him a little bit.
He knows what it looks like.
Yeah. He saw one, you know what I mean? And but he wasn't on it very long. You know what I mean? He
never got past being a squirrel or a
yeah,
worm.
and a lot of them, you know, got on like a pulling unit during the summer, or their dad, you know, went around with their dad that's a pumper or something. Yeah. I mean, somehow. But they'll try to peddle that off as experience. You know what I mean? And like, especially like snubbers, right? Like in the profession I did, we thought we were the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. You know what I mean? Fuck a roughneck, fuck any, you know what I mean? Fuck fight, snub pipe. You know what I mean? Like that's what. But that's. I don't know. It was crazy seeing how little. And I guess in my mind, I thought like what y'all were doing, there were going to be a lot more people that were dealing with it. You know what I mean? That were recovering. In my mind, I'd worked that out.
Center, there's a shitload of us. That's like the biggest degree plan for center kids is.
Roger. Yeah. But I guess I didn't know how big the program was. You know what I mean?
The program is relatively big. And the thing is, like, a lot of our classes are you can be either a CFAS major or you can be like a psychology major.
Social work.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever. And then have the ADRS minor.
Okay.
And so the ADRS minor is where all the focus in addiction is, and so that's where you're going to see all the folks. So there's multiple programs that utilize the ADRS minor.
Okay.
And so that has like a big diverse population, right? And so you have the 100 or whatever kids that are in the center, and maybe 75% of them are in CFAS. But that number is that's probably like 60, 70 people, depending on how many. I don't know how many the center has right now.
Yeah.
But say 60 people are in CFAS out of the center. Well, that's with thousands of ADRS minors and CFAS majors and psychology majors and all these different people. So it's kind of mixed in. And for the most part, like we end up getting in classes with a lot of other people that are in the center. But like this year, Pat's the only one that I share a class with. Pat, and then one girl that isn't a part of the center, but she's in recovery and she's an associate of the center.
Okay.
But that's all I can think of right now. And I'm in several classes that are ADRS related. So they're focused to my major.
Because y'all are actually in like 3 different waves of it. You're done in August. You have a little bit left, and you just got in this semester.
No, I've been in 2 years.
2 years?
When do you graduate?
I don't know.
Because you started music. So,
I started with one major and switched. And so
for some reason,
So
your
when did
mind
you start
grabs
CFAS?
3 semesters ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I only have I think this semester and 1.5 more. So I'm gonna have to take a bunch over the summer. Okay. I should finish in December.
So you're hoping December.
December.
Shit, I'm gonna be here for a minute, dog. So what is the AD? I'm curious about all this shit, right? What is the?
Did you send it to Caitlin?
Yeah, I forgot to tell her what it was about.
Is that Dan?
And then she goes, please. She texted back. So she texted that 14 minutes ago. Is that Dan? And then she texted back 2 minutes ago. Please, can I have some context as to why I wasted a long 5 minutes watching that? What were you gonna say about
what is the ADRS minor? Is that what actually gets you into LCDC?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah.
There's so many. you fucking counselors and your acronyms. So. You know what I'm saying? I'm an LCDCL P8C4R692. Did I catch a niner in there? You know what I'm saying? I'm
Delta Tango Foxtrot.
yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I have absolutely no fucking idea myself.
Okay. So, but that the ADRS it does go to the LCDC.
That's
okay.
I know that minor is what qualifies you for an LCDCI position.
An LCDCI, and then you apprentice or whatever for so long.
The I is internship.
Internship.
Okay, intern for so long,
Yeah.
and then a test into. I'm curious about that, and I'm
I don't
sure
know.
if anyone listens, they're statistically speaking in recovery, 60 out of the whatever in the
Yeah.
center are likely to go into that. So
Yeah, as far as like the details afterwards, I'm not for sure. I know that if you go to grad school, it kind of I think I've been told that you don't necessarily have to intern for either so many hours or maybe not at all.
and
like
that
you
goes
have to
into
intern.
LPC, I think.
Yeah, you can
right?
do an LPC, LMSW, LCSW, MFT, a bunch of other different.
There's 2 now at the Health Science Center.
Oh yeah,
2 new ones.
Yeah,
Masters in Education.
the education
mental
program.
health.
Yeah, mental
and
health.
Then there's same thing that's very similar, but focuses in addiction.
Okay.
So there's quite a few. I do know you do have to get certain amount of hours.
Yeah. Something about grad school though that affects the hours, maybe, or am I making that up?
Not that I know of.
Oh, maybe I made that up. I don't know.
It seems like a common thread amongst. Like I mean,
Well,
most
and
of
the
them go to
reason,
grad school, right?
yeah, and the
Right.
reason for that is because an LCDC is going to make $30,000 to $40,000 a year,
Okay.
maybe.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so if you get your master's degree, then you can supervise other folks. You can be in charge of like family programs. You can be that qualifies
That goes
you
to
to
the
be
LPC.
yeah
Okay.
LPC, Master of Education, anything where you get a grad degree, you're setting yourself up to make a lot more money than
Okay.
as an LCDC.
Because
Yeah,
I've-
and that's the thing. Like, so you have to, like he was saying, you have to, go through a master's program.
Yeah.
And graduate to be like a clinical director.
Okay.
The rest, you'll just be
A
a
counselor.
counselor.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a differentiation between a counselor and a therapist, and I think that's what it is. Is like a counselor has their science, bachelor of science, and then a therapist, or unless it's a social worker, I think they can still have a counselor degree,
Right, yeah.
certification, which is a bachelor of arts. But if you have a master's degree, then you're more than likely going to be a therapist,
Okay.
depending on your
We
license.
kind of went off on a tangent of talking like school talk, and I don't know how interesting that'll be for the listeners. So we should try to like tie this back to our recovery or something.
Okay. Yeah.
I can cut
was-
this out. I'm just
No, I mean it's fine.
I was
think
so interested in like I have never understood that, right?
I don't
so I'm
understand,
like,
and that's my degree.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck all those mean. You
I
know
don't
what mean?
either, but I know that I have faith that if I can fucking just get the piece of paper, I can figure it out at the end.
Yeah.
I figured it out up until this point, right? I've been able to stumble through my bachelor's degree. I think if I get the piece of paper with my name on it, I can eventually figure it out.
It'll work itself out.
It'll work itself
Hell
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's all I'm worried about. And you know what? I mean, I think at least for me, getting a degree, at least I've said this for a long time, is I'm going to school for the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an accomplishment more
Yeah.
than anything. You know what
Jumping
I mean?
through a hoop. Man.
Exactly. Like I want to be able to at least accomplish something with my life, be able to look back on it and say, hey, I know that I was able to get through those 4 years. It was difficult, but more than anything, like I've learned a lot about myself, about other people, about life in general, just going through this process. Like I've learned a lot of shit from the curriculum, but more than anything, the life experiences that it's given me is like you can't get that shit anywhere else. I mean, you can go to work and do all that stuff, but the life experience that you get from juggling 15 fucking hours of school, 40 hours of work, and all the other shit, that is something you just can't get anywhere else.
Jumping through a hoop, man.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fucking cool that we even get to have a conversation about school.
Oh, fuck.
Bro.
Because no way in hell, after I finished my last semester up in Oklahoma, I wrote school off forever.
Same.
Yeah.
I dropped out 4
Never
times at community college here.
It was
Yep.
like never gonna fucking go back. Not a thought at all.
Same. Yeah. For sure. For
Until-
sure.
Yeah, that's kind of like the most beautiful part about, getting sober and stuff is like, yeah, we get to be sober and we get to like show up in our relationships and show up at our jobs, but like we get to actually like work towards something greater than we could have expected. You know, like I've never thought that I would be at a university or like, you know, pursuing a career or pursuing a degree. I got a 4.0 last semester. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like that was a little bit of a flex, but it's mostly just to say, like, I literally thought I was stupid.
When I said petroleum engineering, it was a flex too. I was engineering.
But I mean, it's amazing, you know, and that's all external shit for sure, which isn't the most important part of recovery. But it is pretty cool that, you know, we get to, like, I didn't even know the center was here. I've lived here 8 years. I didn't even know the recovery community was here. Yeah. And then like get sober and find out like, oh, they'll like give you a scholarship to go to school. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy. And like I remember Marcus was like, "Come on, dude, apply for this." And I was like, "Dude, I don't think I can do school. Like, I'm gonna be a rock star, dude." You know, like, and literally, I mean, the center and being part of Texas Tech, like, there's this recording studio in the library that I've been using. The band's about to start using. Like, it's literally helped every aspect of my life. Like, you know, there was times where I got dry. And like the center and my obligation to the center and the meetings and seminar and all these things that I had to be part of, like, kept me from probably going more dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It's cool.
Well, like he was talking about recovery by association. Sometimes it's just it's another option. You know what I mean? If you make it your only fucking option, you're gonna fail. You're more likely gonna fail. But it's another option to tide you over for a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
Some days I'm making it, and some days they're making it for me.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. Did so you dropped out of a couple other.
I dropped out of South Plains 4 times.
Were your grades bad?
Oh, it was like .0001 when I started.
Yeah, so the center helped with a lot of mine. I went to jail during like a full semester at one NCTC or something. You know what I mean? And like failed the whole fucking, like, my transcripts were bad. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you a little story, right? When I got here, I was technically pre-engineering because I hadn't taken a math in so long. My ACTs were good, whatever, because they have to look at all this crap, right? And transcripts from Clarendon, from Weatherford, there were even dual credit transcripts from high school. You know what I'm saying? That these things are saying, right? Well, I go in there and you have to apply for Tech when you apply for the center, right? Yeah. And Tech's like, fuck off. You know what I mean?
Me too. I got denied.
So the center big dictum, you know what I mean? And I fade my way in there, right? So I'm at my first little orientation. I'm the only old man up at this motherfucker. Yeah. I put the shirt on. They got, you know what I mean? And I go in there, and because I was pre-engineering, I wasn't with an engineering advisor, right? So I go into this university studies one, you know what I mean? And he's like, "Hey, homie, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I would like to be in the petroleum engineering program, sir." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, bet, yeah." And he looked at my grades and goes, "We have a good wind energy program." It only takes a 2.5 to get into. And I'm like, okay, that broke my heart a little bit. You know what I mean? So you hurt my feelings, sir. You know what I mean? Like, that sucked, that moment.
Rejection without actually saying it.
Dude, slap the shit out of me. I'm like, "Bro, you smell like Marble-Lights. Fuck you." You know what I mean? Eat a dick, bro. You know what I mean? Write down what I tell you to write down, and I'll fade it out. You know what I mean? Like, I'll flunk out on my own, sir. You know what I mean? But big props to like the center for guys like us that necessarily, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if you were out, your grades, were they good before? Nope. Before you? Okay. Nope. So like, big shout out for, like, I mean, that was the biggest thing. So guys from out of state get an intuition deal, and I mean, I hate to like advertise for them, right, or whatever, but like the intuition thing I know is a big for a lot of people, and people like me that got to come to a university even when my grades were bad before. You know what I mean? Like that was a huge thing for me. That was huge.
And it almost, when people squander it like upsets me a little bit, because like for me it's literally such a big blessing. Like it's amazing to me that I like got to be part of this just because I've been sober and just because I've like, you know, stayed sober this whole time, and people squander that shit away, and it's usually the ones that come from money, and usually the ones that don't, you know what I mean? They don't really have to worry about shit. But for me, I mean, my options were, oh, I guess I'm going to do landscaping or fucking manual labor the rest of my life, which nothing wrong with that if that's what you enjoy. But like for me, that's not what I want to do. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's amazing.
Well, before I came here and found out about the center, I thought the best thing that I could do was work on pivots for the rest of my life, was to be an electrician. Yeah. And like, yeah, it's a cool career. It's great. But for the rest of my fucking life, I would be outside, manual labor, in the sun all day, every day. And it's like, I love sore and tired every day, just beating myself to death, just
Right,
to
you're
make
gonna
a
say something
dollar.
different there.
Just to make a fucking dollar. You know what I mean? And like that was like my ultimate goal was to become what I am now as a service technician for a Valley dealership. And it's like now that's like just the lowest I could go now. You know what I mean? Because of the opportunities that have been afforded me through the center, through higher education, all that stuff.
Can I tell the story real quick? Because that just reminded me of this, but it's one of my favorite stories about Marcus. Like, Marcus and I were doing.
Is this
landscaping.
embarrassing?
No, it's a good one. It's really good. I think it's a God thing,
You have
straight
to
up.
follow up with a
Marcus and I were
embarrassing
doing.
one.
Yeah, Marcus and
Don't
I were
gas
doing.
him up.
Marcus and I were doing landscaping together, and we went and did a job in Littlefield, and we're driving back to Lubbock from Littlefield, and we drive by Valley, the
dealership.
the dealership, and Marcus was like, "Man, I think I'm gonna go in there and see if they're hiring." And he went in there. And they were like, "Oh, we're not hiring." And then I don't know what he did. He finessed him into hiring him. And then turns out he gets into business with this dude, and that's how the Cove came to be.
Yeah.
And it's just on a whim, on a fucking weird whim. He saw this, and he went back later, and then it's just that's a God thing to me that happened. Like we just and we never did anything in Littlefield. We never were on 84. Like we were always around South Lubbock and stuff. We just happened to drive by that, and he saw it, and it's just funny, how that works.
Yeah, it was like the one time that I've ever been down that highway. And it's funny too that you brought this up, because it's something that I've been it's been this weird thing in my life. And I've heard somebody talk about it once before, and I can't remember who it was. It was on another podcast. They were talking about sober visions. And like, I don't know how much I buy into all that, but I know that like I've had these like weird like thoughts, these just like really, really lingering thoughts before, and they're ideas, right? It happened with Beaumont too. Like I remember Medley was like super against me doing that. Yep. Like he took me to lunch one day, and he like for an hour just told me how stupid it was and how bad of an idea it was, and like you can be of service around here, blah blah blah. But that was one night I couldn't sleep, and I was laying in my bed, just could not fucking sleep. Hurricane Harvey just happened, so I got on my computer, started looking up different places, and all I could think in the back of my head was just a vision of me working in a hurricane area, and it turned into what it was. I spent 3 months down there. The same thing happened with the Cove. But I didn't. It was much more diluted. I had no idea what it was. But there was just this vision, this idea, this feeling that God had put in my life that you were going to be something different. I used to go to church with Skylar and Jake and all them at this kind of wild church called Living Waters. I mean, it's a great place. I love it. But they prophesied over me one time, and I was like really weirded out by it. But he told me, you were going to be a builder of men. And it was that like affirmed this vision that I had weeks before about being involved in the creation of something that was going to help a bunch of men, right? And so it was this kind of like sober vision thing that I had always had, where it was this lingering thought of always wanting to have a place that I could create and have some sort of control over to help other guys that went through the same process that I did, right? And whenever we drove by that building, it was never associated with that at all. It was just like, hey, that's a really good, I know how to do that. Let me go see if I can figure this shit out with them so that I could have a better career opportunity going through school, fully thinking that they would tell me to go eat shit. And they kind of did. They had their head service technician kind of grill me about a bunch of different questions, and I just bullshitted my way through it. I even told him the other day, we're trying to hire somebody to replace me full time. And I told him the other day, I was like, dude, I didn't know dick when I came in here. Like I knew the color, what 2 colors of wire, there's 11 wires and they're all different colors. I said I knew what 2 of them did. And he was kind of like a little bit like, what the fuck? Like, how have you been doing this for 3 years knowing that little when you first came in? And it was like, I just fucked up a bunch of shit, really. He didn't really know about it.
Up a bunch of
Dude, oh my God. I remember one time I burned up $1,000, it was a board. It was a big smart board, and I burned it up. And it was $1,000 or $1,100. He doesn't know about that. But I just did shit like that, and I just fucked up until I got it right.
But revenge.
Somebody clip that.
Show me an address.
Yeah, gotcha. You got Bill come into the yeah.
My fucking 401k takes a big hit.
Yeah.
But
408.
401k. So, but what I remember is like that I had that vision of wanting to be able to do something like that, right? And it was when we drove by that place, it was completely unassociated with that, but I knew that there was a motivation to go do it. There was a like, and I'm very terrified of like social anxiety. I don't like walking into situations like that. I walked in there and it's a bunch of, I mean, this is kind of fucked up, but it's a bunch of old white men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're all looking at me like I'm some sort of fucking moron. They have no idea who I am. I just walked in off the street. To this day, that still never happened. Like nobody's ever walked in off the street. That place has been there since 1994. He says the first person to just walk in and ask for a job. That's it. Like everybody else that's worked there or worked there before has some sort of association to the place, whether the family members or the friend of a friend or whatever. But that, like, I kind of hesitate to call it a conviction, but it was a conviction to go do that, and find that
Well, you're
job.
also making $10 an hour shoveling dirt.
Yeah, exactly. But that's also a part of it. It's like I had gone from working at Lowe's before. It was a great job. I was making like $14 an hour. I loved that job in building materials at Lowe's Home Improvement. And then I went down to Beaumont, tried to get that job back, couldn't get it when I got back. And so I asked you for a job. And I got a job digging fucking holes for $10 an hour. You know what I mean? And it was. But if I would have gone back to Lowe's and actually got that job, never would I have walked in the Valley. You know what I mean? So it was like God placing things in my life, leading me on this path of like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. It was cold. I hated being dirty and muddy. The guy that we worked for was kind of a dick.
Bald little man syndrome motherfucker.
I
hope you hear this, Jay.
I mean, like I've worked underground with irrigation with big ass pipe, and he'd just sit there and yell at me how I was doing it wrong. It's like I just get so overwhelmed and aggressive with like the things that we were in, but I needed that uncomfortability to drive me in there, right? And so I've pieced all this shit together and understanding that God had something better for me back then and had an understanding for me, but I had to go through all that shit first. And it was like that conviction that I had to walk into that dealership that day was not for a job, was not for money, was not for any of that, but it was to build a relationship with somebody that had access to money, that had a platform to support me on building what is now the Cove. You know what I mean? Yep. Like it was much bigger than that. I spent there for the first 2 years that guy didn't talk to me. You know what I mean? Like he still was really weird about me. It wasn't until I like proved myself as a service technician that he started finally kind of getting an idea of who I was as a person. And then the one time the first time that there was like a connection made was like he had kind of known what I was doing with the sober living before we bought it. And he kind of understood it a little bit, but he usually made fun of me. You know, it was just kind of like a real toxic relationship. Yeah. He was just an old white guy, right? But one day we were unloading shit out of the back of my service truck. It was after hours, like 7 p.m. And for whatever reason, he was still there. And he asked me, because he knew I was in school, he goes, so what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Like, and it was his way of understanding how long he had me around. It was selfish, you know what I mean? I understand that. But it turned into something way better because he asked me what I was doing. And I told him, well, you know, I'm going to be a counselor. I want to do this. I want to eventually own my own company helping other guys. I want to eventually turn it into a full-on inpatient rehab facility. And I remember it kind of like this light came on in him because he didn't know that I had a desire to do more. You know, so many people come through positions like that and they just want it. That's it. Like they want to
go home and drink beer.
Exactly. There was another guy there that worked there at the time that's all he wanted for his life was, I want to be able to make enough money that I can just live, you know what I mean? And have zero like future ahead of him. And so whenever he heard me talking about that, I think, and we've never asked him this, but I think he could remember himself dreaming of having a dealership, you know what I mean? And building what he's built now. And it's turned into this huge dealership that covers the entire area, rent houses, farms, ranches, all this big thing that he owns, like all over the place. Like I can't even, like I've been to so many fucking properties that I'm like, when does it end? You know what I mean? And it's like, I think, at least in my mind, I like to think that he saw in me what he had seen in himself when he was a young man. And so that's when the connection was built. And then he saw opportunity to make money on the real estate side of it. So that's where he stays. He stays on the real estate side of it. I maintain all those fucking houses for him through this deal. So it's like a great symbiotic relationship. We have a place to operate. He has full knowledge of what goes on in these properties. And it's like, it turned into something much better. And it all started from that one like idea of like, I want to do more with my life. And I want to be able to have some sort of path that I'm going to be able to help other men.
It really started at fuck digging a hole.
Exactly.
I mean, really is. That's the crazy part. Is like, so you can think of this as like a picture, right?
Yeah.
And like that was a dot on the picture, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fuck this $10 an hour job with this sawed off motherfucker with a bad attitude.
Yep.
And realistically, like, we've only painted part of the picture.
Oh, man,
that's
just
the crazy, because I think that one of the coolest things through like sobriety, right, is that like used to I thought about it, now I do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean that's cool. You know what I mean? It's really like as much the distance you can see. You know what I mean? From now to then, from digging the ditch till now, or Beaumont till, you know what I mean? Like whatever, right? Like that distance. It's only part of the way.
Oh,
like,
man.
There's so much above us. You know what I mean? That we haven't even painted yet. That we haven't even seen yet. Past that we don't even know are happening. You know what I mean? The person once things roll around enough for y'all, like the next guy you see with an opportunity, an idea that you saw some of you in, right? Like, and what that leads down. You know what I mean? Because that has to be equally invigorating for like him on his side of it. You know what I mean? Watching people build things and be maker of men. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you say that, I think of like I look at these fucking tapestries, right? And it's like what we've started now is like a 3x3 square on this deal. You know what I mean? It's just like you said, the one dot is in the middle of that 3x3 square, and look at all the fucking rest of it that can be created from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean possibilities are endless.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
That's written on my mirror. It's funny you said that because it's written on my mirror. It's super fucking gay, but it says your limitations begin where your desire ends. And
I think you posted that on Facebook too.
Nah, I've kept that one to myself.
With a picture of him acting all chisel jawed. You know what I'm saying? We know, dog. We like the pictures for you.
That would have kept to myself.
Suck on your tongue. Keep your chin up,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking at
Hey,
the sun. You stand over there.
I was having a conversation with a client one time, and we were talking about that concept that you just really dove into, and it was like, I've never once like met that ceiling. I've only ever limited myself with how much work, how much effort I want to put into it, what my desire is to complete that task. And past that, if I really keep pushing, I've never been met with a limitation from the world, from other people. Like if I just keep pushing my way through it and doing exactly what God's put in my life to do, I've not met that limitation yet. If I go on down my own path and I start doing shit my own way, I'm immediately hit with it. You know what I mean?
Mine have been tangents, right? So I think addiction was a tangent. You know what I mean? With the moment I spent all my off time like looking for dope or chasing women or in a bar or thinking about something that, you know what I mean? The moment that I hit too many tangents and I wasn't working towards like my goal, right? Like that's when it, you know what I mean? All I could be was digging a hole. All I could be was a snubbing hand. Everything past that, you know what I mean, it's limitless, really. Like it's cool. It's cool.
Well,
man.
and it sounds like when you were talking, going back all the way to when you first started talking about your second run through the steps, is like it was knowing that was there, knowing that addiction was there, knowing that the possibilities of you going back to that. It drove you to do more. Right?
A lot more.
It's like the curiosity has been filled. I fucking know what it looks like if I take another drink. You know what I mean? And so you didn't need to try it back out again.
No.
You had already set that foundation. You didn't need to go back over that part of the drawing to redo it. You were able to see exactly what the fuck was there, what that got you, and where you could go from here on out.
So, but one of the scariest parts of sobriety, right, is I know what's back there, and sometimes that's less scary than what's in front of me. You know what I mean?
Future,
dude, bro. Like well, what if I don't get into this? You know what I mean? What if it doesn't work out? You know what I mean? What if we don't keep the house full?
What if I die alone?
Yeah.
We're probably gonna have to talk about that.
Oh, don't worry, I talk to my sponsor about it every time we meet.
Oh my God. Suck in your cheeks, post a picture, it'll all be all right.
I got you,
buddy. Hang out with Marcus for a week. Right? But that's scary too. So it's as much of it is like grind, go. Man, the future scares me. You know what I mean? Next semester's class scares me. The climate of like particularly the oil and gas industry domestically right now scares me. But if I grasp onto that's that, you know what I mean, that me driving shit. If I hold on to that, I went over to Michi's the other day. I'm a man, but fucking pipeline laid off, fucking, you know what I mean? Woe is me bullshit. When that ain't even affected me right now. You know what I mean? He's like, what's it doing to you right now? Is it stopping you from passing a class? Is it stopping you from getting a grade? Is it stopping you from any? And I'm like, well, no, but it could. And
the what if?
Okay, yeah, it could. All right, man, shut the fuck up and keep grinding, bro.
I always tell sponsees, fear is an opportunity to trust God, right? And almost everything in life that's beautiful and good and most rewarding is on the other end of fear.
Yep.
As soon as we go through that and we get on the other side of it, it's like, oh my God, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a perfect example of my life, and I haven't shared this on the podcast, but I had some old tickets that I've been living with for years that I hadn't paid off that have affected my ability to do things right. And I went to Snyder
drive.
Yeah, legally.
Vote, buy a gun.
I can vote.
Okay, all right.
But I went to Snyder for court last week for tickets that were from 2015. It was $2,600. I go in there, and the judge goes, "I'm dropping 4 of these because you showed up today." And it was from $2,600 to $900. And spent the last 4 years being like, oh, I don't have the money. I fucking can't afford to pay. I'm every time I drive, I'm like, I'm gonna get pulled over. I'm gonna get my probation revoked. I'm gonna go to state jail. Literally living in fear because of this shit. And then as soon as I fucking take care of business and I go take care of it, it's fucking not as bad as I
People
thought.
trying to help out. You know what I mean? The world trying to help out.
Yeah.
So on the contrary to that, right? Fear is that opportunity to trust God, but it's also an opportunity to distrust.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that in itself is us taking our will back.
Yeah.
God, you haven't brought me through this. Your will isn't good.
God ain't about to pay these fucking tickets. You know what I'm saying? God will send me to work and all that, and he can move them out in a split seat. Oh, cool, right? But he ain't about to pay my motherfucking tickets. You know what I mean? Or at least that's what we think.
Yeah.
But shit, he copped up on what? $1,700 a year. You know what I mean? In my mind, God, help me out with some tickets, my man.
I mean, and I don't want to take it too far into religion, but I started going to church after, I started going back through the steps.
Yeah, threw me off this morning.
Yeah.
I called him.
He was at church.
Texted me, said, I'm in church. I said, what?
What? How many times did you reread that?
I was very confused at first. I read it, put it down.
He was seeing if it was a strip club. He Googled it.
He checked my location.
Church Gentlemen's Club.
Yeah.
But it was wild because it had 100% to do with what's going on in my life right now, because I just went through that process of having, whether I was given an option to either trust or distrust. Am I gonna lean into this deal 100% wholeheartedly, or am I going to try and run it my own way? You know what I mean? And I tried to run it my own way for 2 fucking years, and it got me to this point. It got me to this point of being dry. It got me to this point of being, suffering. And like I said, our last podcast is completely vulnerable. It talks about everything that I've been going through.
It was pretty rough.
It was really fucking rough, right? But over being able to do that and being able to lean into it 100%, have that faith that you're talking about, has made huge dynamic changes in my life today, where that relationship, the line of communication is open again. You know what I mean? And that was after. So I begged God for 2 things throughout this process. One of them was selfish and one of them wasn't. And when I asked him for the ability to let go of this obsession, let go of this compulsion of this codependency, this relationship, all these different things that had got me to this point, he removed that over time. All I had to do was keep leaning into it. And I was starting to lose faith, man. I was starting to feel like, fuck, this is never going to go away. It's going to be here for the rest of my life. And I started to lose that. I started leaning into the steps again. I was going to meetings 3, 4, 5 times a week, just trying to relieve myself of that obsession. And then it started to fade away. I'd wake up one day and I wouldn't feel so overwhelmed and ridiculous about it and crazy, right? And 7 days after I lost, I started to feel really comfortable not obsessing over that thing. That's when I get the text, and it comes through and it's like, hey, I hope you're doing well. And that started a line of communication, right? The second thing that I had begged for was to at least have an ability to have that line of communication. And I asked God for both of those things, and they were given to me in a matter of days within each other of just having that trust, right? And the sermon this morning talked all about that, and it was just fucking crazy to hear somebody completely objective, completely outside of my life, some complete stranger that I've never met stand on this stage talking to 100 and some people, and And all he said was faith has been moved from people, places, things into the solid rock of Jesus, right? And without like saying going into religion, like I transformed that into the solid rock of my higher power, my God. You know what I mean? And it was like as soon as I shifted that faith from people, places, things, like my situation, the company, my friends, all these people that I had put in my life, like I had to lean on them over this time. But the moment that I said, God, please take this away from me, and really meant it and got into that deal and had that faith, it was gone, man. Yep. Within days. Like it didn't happen at the snap of fingers, but over a period of like 3 or 4 or 5 days, I started to feel that obsession be lifted.
That's when it starts moving right. Yeah,
exactly.
I heard something one time and it said, God may not bring something back, but it'll help move you forward.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's crazy. Like, I don't know how to think about that, right?
Well, and the other thing that stuck out to me on this deal was, like I said, some complete stranger, Pastor Jansen. I've never met this man in my life. It came from his wife too. She wrote it on his whiteboard in his office, and it said, "To do the will of Him, not to get Him to do that, to do my will." So, I asked for things for me, but I didn't ask for God to do what I wanted to do. I asked Him to do something for me, and then I trusted that He will, and then it became His will to have that done. You know what I'm saying? I didn't ask Him to change my situation. I didn't ask Him to change my life and bring me these things back. I asked Him for me if that was His will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it took some time, and it took a lot of trust and faith in Him for that to happen, and then ultimately it became His will. And at that point, I was so desperate. I would have been okay if it wasn't His will. If it was to go the other way, I would have been okay. All I wanted was to not feel that obsession anymore. And it was almost as soon as I leaned into it and gave Him that faith, that obsession was gone. It was like, holy shit, if I'd have just done that weeks ago, I'd been
ready.
I just wasn't ready. You know what I mean?
I think that's a thing that I can relate to is like, I think because I'm still sober, like I think that it's okay to take my will back a lot. And I was working with a guy the other night. We were reading. I think it's in there as a solution, but it says in there, only praying for God to help us better serve others, not praying for ourselves. And I never really thought about what that means. You know what I mean? It means like not praying for like, God, please give me this. God, please give me that. But God, let me be who I need to be today to help another person. You know what I mean? But
a marriage, not a deal. You know what I mean? Wow.
An agreement.
I love my old lady so much. I really do, baby. I swear. But that like building up to it, you know what I mean? It was school up until, you know what I mean, the May or whatever. And then I would work a lot, and she's trying to get me to help plan stuff, and I wasn't real helpful with a lot of shit. But really, because when I thought about it, it felt big to me. Like it felt too much. You know what I mean? Like I was nervous. I was nervous. You know what I mean? And even that week of the marriage, right? Ross Fillingen came down with me. You know what I mean? And 2 days before we're out fishing, you know what I mean? or things like that. She's like, hey, we're going to set up. I was like, yeah, I'll be there later. You know what I mean? Man, I didn't have to think about it until like we're getting dressed. And then when I did, now it's July. I'm a pretty big dude. I got a jacket on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm blowing this shirt out with sweat. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, and we dwindled some things down. You know what I mean? A lot of family, some people came, right? But not as many people as we would have liked to have done. But I mean, we were in the midst of COVID things and had to do a lot of stuff.
You can just blame it on COVID why you didn't invite me. It's all right.
Yeah, facts. Right? I mean, so that there were only a couple people that came from like Lubbock. You know, it was hard for me to. So both of our families are local to the area that we did. Now her mom moved from Austin up to Fort Worth, so it worked out there. But that's a long trip to ask people to drive. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you trying to drive 4 hours to come to a wedding in July, in Texas during COVID?
Pandemic,
Yeah. Are you trying to do that? I mean, you can wear a mask, dude. It's cool. Like, I don't know. It's so strange. You know what I mean? And so. But the advice that I can give you, right, was I just didn't think about it until like I absolutely had to think about it, because every time I did think about it, it was too big to think about. You know what I mean?
And
I'm like,
that's how it's been. I told Marcus, I told him
yesterday, I think.
Yeah, like this past week, I've forgotten about so much shit with school. I've forgotten about so much shit with work, and normally I don't.
Got pregnancy brain.
And it's like
she's pregnant.
Parker's having a baby.
And it's just, I don't know, it kind of hit me this past week, and I've been good about that, about like just staying busy with school. and we're staying busy with work, and the school started, and then like last week it finally like kind of hit me, and I've been trying to like get back into work mode and like get back into school mode, and it's just kind of
don't even do it.
I've
until you're
never
done.
gotten back into it like fully. I've still had that like part of me is just thinking about it all the time.
Yeah.
And like still like I was when you were talking about that, I was like, fuck, I shouldn't have taken off Thursday. I should have just waited till Friday.
Bro.
Because Thursday, I'm going to class and getting a haircut. That's all I have planned Thursday.
So something will come up. I promise. It's a wedding. Something will come up. Something will need done. Something will need tended to. Something will need thought about. She'll need talking to. Something will come up. I'm promising you. Work and school and all that. Like right. Like just get through this week, and then after that's done, it's a lot easier. Yeah. And the crazy thing is like you think you're gonna on the other side of it feel like all married and shit, and I don't know. It was so weird. Kate's like, I feel so different. I'm like, bro, we've been doing this for so long. I feel exactly. I mean, it's cool, paperwork, all that. Hell yeah, you know what I mean. And we got some free shit, and we got to eat some food and chill with homies, whatever. But I don't know, man. Duck it till you can
I
spot
feel
it.
like that's how I felt up until
Is what
like that. They're like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna have like I mean, we've been together. We knew we were gonna get married. Like we knew, like I know like a whole lot. Like I've thought in my head like a whole lot doesn't change.
So there's so much of that, like you think the wedding's for you, right? But like you realize the wedding was for everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You got to worry about this dude, that these people, everyone coming in, you know, especially during times like we are now, everyone being safe. What are they going to eat? Are they all going to be comfortable? Or you know what I mean? Like you think it's for you, but you feel the same, especially like situations like ours where we've been together with them for so long, right? But yeah, man. Oh gosh, that was a painful week, bro. That was tough. That was tough.
Yeah. Stressful. I'm sure the ladies stress way more. Too,
way more.
It's
Yeah,
their big day.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like pregnancy too, right? You know what I mean? Because we're like, oh, that was so hard on me, but we didn't push a child out of us. You know what I mean? Like the closest I've come is too much cheese and milk. You know what I mean? like, and I teared up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But we're like, oh, that was so hard on me, but it was way harder on them. You know what I mean? But
I had to go to 2 different places to find my shoes. That kind of stressed me out.
Your pants fit yet?
Did you get your coat today?
I haven't got my coat yet.
Your pants fit the thighs yet?
They're at the tailor's right now.
You got yours yet?
I got completely different pants than everybody.
Yeah,
that's all right. They're good though.
They're good though. I'll pick
All
them
right,
up
cool.
tomorrow, but all they had to do is
Yeah,
tell me the length.
I've been in here fucking cutting weight in the gym and shit, trying to fit in.
I saw him doing strength on the legs on a video he posted online. Go figure. You know, I liked it for you, dog.
For my legs.
Yeah. Maybe it was Snapchat.
It was
my girl getting her workout too.
Oh
yeah. You know the video.
I forgot about that one. But I've been fucking killing myself to fit in them goddamn pants, and then he goes and tells me, "Oh yeah, I just went and got some different ones." Motherfucker.
Been in the sauna, sweating his weight off.
I've never
Ain't
been
in the
this
carb in
light.
3 weeks.
I haven't been this light in my entire adulthood life. But then I did. That was the most stressful part of this wedding was finding the shoes. So that makes it feel any better.
Must be hard. Fuck.
Must be so tough for you.
I got him.
I'm so sorry. His wedding's an inconvenience.
It came up quick. I mean, even though it was a short engagement, but
like what, 3 months, 4 months?
October to now, and I was talking to Elise last night. I swear I said it was like 26 days ago yesterday. Yeah. And then...
What, the engagement?
No, the wedding.
Oh.
I thought those from 26 days till 6 days fucking flew by.
Oh, yeah.
And I woke up this morning and I was like, fuck, next Sunday.
You a married
man. You're a married
man.
man.
Yeah. And I was like, damn, that is really fucking close. And then even today I was talking to Nate and he said the same thing. It was just like, I'll see you Saturday. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you will. Damn it.
That creeped up on you, huh?
Yeah, and I don't know, man. it's been great having you back at work. Because I was thinking about that the other day when Marcus and I were talking, and one of our guys asked for a couple days off, and I just called Marcus. I was like, hey, when you get to the office, can you
figure
the schedule out, please? Because that Friday was the day that it fucking hit me hard. Because I was talking to Marcus about it, and that's when it hit me like really hard that it's here. And it took me 2 hours to put a fucking office chair together. It's like fucking
you
losing
can't
my
see,
mind.
so that's kind of not on. Is this a Phillips or a flathead?
But it was just, I was talking to Marcus. I was like, please, like, can you do that? Because I do not have the mental capacity to do that right now.
And that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think that all ties back into what we were talking about earlier. Like you've met people and got, you know what I mean? Good people around you that'll cover some of that shit because this is a cool moment. You know what I mean? The hardest thing I've had to do for your wedding was get on Amazon once, and I threw my clothes on a pile for Kate earlier today, and I was like, you trying to get them starched? You know? So if you need anything, reach out. I'm super busy. But if you need anything, reach out. I'm so busy.
What are you doing Friday evening?
Whatever.
We
You
never
wanna
threw
be,
you.
The on-call guy while we're at
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
the
the
rehearsal
rehearsal. I
dinner.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
We never threw you a bachelor party either.
I mean,
I didn't know if y'all did anything, didn't do anything. I almost texted you the
They
other
may
day.
have, and they didn't invite me. I don't
Yeah, I mean, I was like, well, cool. I mean, if they relapse, straight, whatever. You know what I mean? But
Let's take some of that Cove.
if y'all
money
trying to
and
go
Jaguars.
fishing, let me know. We'll go.
Well,
yeah, man, we just didn't. I don't know. With school starting and all that, it was a lot harder for us to do that.
Yeah.
With Elise, her and all of her friends are out of school.
Yeah.
And they got big girl jobs, and so they have time to take off, and they don't have to worry about school to think about or homework.
They went up to the cabin and got weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were there maybe like 2 hours, and I got a video of Elise like drunk, jumping and singing a song. I was like, "Jeez,
I'm getting
already."
married.
She was like, "Your future wife." I was like, "Good, you got to have this quick." It's real quick.
Pre-gaming on the way.
that's so weird for me to think about therapists that aren't in recovery that work with addicts, but they can drink normally. Like, it's
Yeah.
cool. I think it's
Yeah.
dope, but it's just like, what a weird concept.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
I want to shoot fucking meth like a gentleman.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
On Fridays only.
Yeah, just give me a little bump and get weird. You know what I mean? Pilfer some shit and go on with life. Back to school Monday or.
We've had this same bottle of tequila. She had it at her apartment, and now we had it at our house. She's had it for a year. That has about maybe like 3 or 4 shots left in it. But it's just been sitting there. Like, she's doesn't touch it. It's been there a fucking year.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Just like, what?
Somebody left some beers over here a while back, and I had to give them to my bandmate. I was like, I don't want these in the house. Like, not that I would drink. It's just like I don't like the. I don't like the idea of like somebody coming over and be like, "Why do you have beers in your fridge?" That's what I'm like.
So funny story, right? A couple weekends ago, my homeboy Garrett came over, right? And Parker came over. We watched fights. It was, he came to hunt, whatever. And he goes, "Hey, can I drink from Shiner Box?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, dude." You know what I mean? And so he gets to me, and goes, "Is Kate gonna be mad?" I'm like, "I don't know." Total G moment on my old lady, right? Because he came and he goes, "Kate, can I drink some Shiner Box?" And she goes, "I got some water in my car. If you'll carry it in, you can drink whatever you want." You know what I'm saying? So he carried a case of water in, and he pounded. He drank like 3.5 Shiner Box. You know what I mean? And put the rest in the fridge, and then carried them out with him the next day. Put them in a cooler. Made sure, because we'd killed some crane. You know what I mean? And he threw that cooler and got his 2 extra little beers or whatever. You know what I mean? Well, we'd close that box and we threw it in the trash or whatever. You know what I mean? And Paloma had come over, and she opened the door and she goes, I knew it. You know what I mean? You fucking relapsers. It was just, and she was joking with us, right? But I did, like, for a moment. I didn't tell her that. I was like, I didn't relapse. You know what I mean? It would have been meth. I don't know. You know what I mean? But, like, I did feel that for a moment. So
Have you guys ever had a using dream where you didn't use, but everybody thought you'd relapsed? I had one where, like, you guys were like, and the center people were like, "You relapsed." I was like, "No, I didn't." Everybody thought I relapsed in this dream.
So with that did happen to me at the center. It was the wrong Parker relapsed.
Oh no shit!
It was the other one. And I came back and like 2 people walked up to me and they were like, they came to me like, gave me a hug. Are you doing okay? I was like, yeah.
you're
They're
gonna
like,
make it, bro.
they're like, how long do you have now? I was like, 2 years, or something like that. Or it was like
Acceptance
a
is the
year
key.
over a year and a half or something like that. And he was like, oh really? I was like, yeah.
He hasn't accepted it yet.
I was like, what the fuck? And like, I go downstairs and somebody else said something. And I was like, y'all got the wrong fucking person.
Will y'all send out an email, please? Get my shit straight.
Yeah, that's weird. When's the last time any of y'all had a using dream?
Long time ago. I don't dream, unfortunately.
Long
I haven't had one in a long time, but my first using dream, it was in treatment. I dreamed.
I
dreamt that one of my buddies that I was in treatment with and my counselor shot me up with heroin for the first time at my parents' house in Abilene, where they hadn't lived in a couple years.
Jesus.
We're sitting at their kitchen table, and in the dream, my counselor and my buddy Sebastian were sitting at the table, and they were shooting me up for the first time. And I woke up and I was like,
Those fucking assholes.
what the fuck
I had a
was that?
real weird one in detox and treatment. I had a dream that I was like living in this lady's house, and I was like shooting up and like hiding, and like she was like old and like half blind, and I was like moving around, and I was like sleeping in the attic, and then like at the end of the dream I'm like sleeping in the attic, and she pokes her head up in there and she goes, Daniel, and like her voice was the tech waking me up.
Oh,
and I woke up and
fuck
it was this gay dude, and he was like, Daniel, and I was just like, it's so weird.
I mean, I had one when I was in sober living, and I had relapsed in my dream, and all I can really remember was like trying to figure out a way to beat it, to like keep them from finding out.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. I haven't had one in a long time.
I had one in sober living too, where I had like smoked weed. Yeah. And I was like in this car hitting my old bong, and Medley was in his fucking Raptor truck chasing me down like, you motherfucker, and I'm like. It was weird, man. Yeah, it's strange.
The worst one I had was in sober living. I woke up and I could fucking taste Evan Williams in my mouth.
Whoa!
Who's that?
The liquor, not a person. I could taste.
I could taste the salty Evan Williams.
That is not a relapse dream, sir.
His roommate's just standing over him.
But like, I legit could taste whiskey.
Yeah.
And that fucking.
He changed it for that one.
I have to.
I can't taste Evan. It was whiskey.
But my first thought when I woke up was like, how do I hide this?
Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, was that real? Or it was, how do I hide this?
You wake up in a
And
panic.
then I like, in the dream, I was like back at my apartment. And then whenever I woke up and like kind of sat up and looked around, I was like, oh, fuck.
So that's a crazy concept to think about, right? Like, we're really only like a drink, or me, like a shot of meth away from being like a pretty decent person. Now, I would say a lot of people would probably not say that, right? But I think I'm at least a pretty decent version of myself, right? And like, I'm one shot of dope from like hiding it, and you know what I mean? Like, the threshold between me and that piece of shit I probably partially still am is like very small. Yeah. Like, it's very small. You know what I mean? That one using dream, like, you're like
right back.
How do I
how do I hide this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Deception. You know what I mean? Lie, cover up, whatever. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's crazy because dreams, at least I don't think they manifest in whatever, like all that stuff. But it's something that's inherently in your mind. You know what I mean? Is that, damn, I gotta hide this. I gotta cover it. It's always there. You know
I think
what
it's
that
just-
shit's under there.
Yeah, I think it's just so deeply ingrained over our addiction that we have to hide this. We cannot let anybody know about this. And then when you get in and have like stipulations on your living situation and all that stuff, it just reaffirms it over and over and over again that you cannot ever let anybody know about this again. And it's just immediately, because I even now, like when I got close to wanting to get fucked up not too long ago, like I had that real, like I was hanging on by a thread, and my first thought was like, how do I make sure nobody knows about this? You know what I mean? It's like I had a plan figured out, and it was all revolved around keeping it a secret. You know what I mean? It was even then, even in a sober state, even fucking awake. You know what I mean? It is. It's that close.
That threshold, man.
It's so small. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn, dude.
It's weird, man.
Weird.
How do you going back to how do you feel about playing at the wedding?
Good. I'm not worried about it. I'm kind of worried about Harvey's hand, but other than that, we got the set list all plotted out. I think it's gonna be good. We got a couple cool things planned that'll be like chill. You know, we're not gonna go too crazy. You know, y'all asked for a couple of like heavy-ish ones, and we're gonna not. I don't. You know, we're not gonna go too crazy. As far as like, you know, Harvey's not gonna just go wild, but I feel good. I mean,
What about what's the dancing situation like?
Probably toddlers dancing. That's
Okay.
probably about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are y'all doing a first dance and all that?
we're
Okay.
Indigo is doing all the music, and we're just
Yeah.
doing our music. So it's like, we asked, we were like, what do y'all want? And they were like, we just want y'all. I was like, all right.
So there's gonna
What
be
are
a
they
pit.
walking to?
We're
Or
gonna
shoot?
just do like a slowed down instrumental of one of our songs, and then we have one planned for the bride to walk up, and then we'll play music while they do take pictures, and we'll play music during the reception, and then we'll finish out the night. And
That's cool. That's cool.
it's awesome that, you know, they love and support us and want us to be part of their special day. We've played weddings before, but we're usually at the end of the reception. You know what I mean? We played 2, and we're just like there for the fun last part of the, you know, and everybody's fucking wasted. Like we played one this summer, and everybody was drunk as shit. You know, there was one dude out there that was just like stumbling around on the dance floor. It was great. It was, you know, it's a lot of fun, but it's just different to play during the ceremony, during the reception. But
Yeah.
you know,
Don't fuck up.
yeah.
So what was that movie? I fucking need you more than ever. You know, what was that movie? Is it Wedding Crashers?
Wedding Crashers,
Is it
yeah.
Wedding
Is
Crashers?
it Wedding
Yeah.
Crashers, dude? Play that. Fucking play
Play
that.
the one from Wedding Singer. It's just like, I fucking hate you, or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's only fitting for them to play
It fits
at our
everything. Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah, that's where y'all
because
had your first date.
our first date was at one of their shows. We went to Cap Rock, just got some chips and queso and a drink, and then went to Dan's
Sure.
show.
At
That's
the
cool.
garden,
That's-
which sadly closed the stores today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was
Thanks,
our
COVID.
first
First actual
date.
date. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
so,
I mean, it's a lot of like getting to share that moment. You know, also tied back when what we said, right? Like, I mean, the dude officiating it is your sponsor. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
gain that in recovery. Like the
With a
people
face
playing
tattoo.
it, the people playing it. You know what I mean? A dude we chopped up with in sober living. That you know, I mean, the people a lot of the guys standing up there with you. I'm sure you'll have people from earlier life like mingled in there, right? But I mean, that's cool. You know, a good portion of the people in attendance. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know 2 of them are riding with Kate and I, right? And,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, that's crazy, man.
I've never been in a wedding before as an adult, so I don't.
You just got to stand there and don't look down.
Yeah.
That's what the hardest part
Just
for me.
walk your bridesmaid up. And
He wanted to put me with a girl that's like 2 inches taller than me.
Oh shit,
I
dog.
did not want to do that. I'm the one that
Did you-
avoided that happening.
Real shit. Did you give him the pretty one? You don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer.
I think they're all pretty though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fuck,
good save,
Seth?
guys. Good save.
I mean, I really
Pretty
couldn't.
sure
I can't
all
lose.
of them listen to these podcasts too.
I know that. I don't know. I don't know who's in there. By the way, I haven't asked any questions. I'm one of those people that duck it till you fight it. So if I haven't asked, Kate asks me questions all the time. I'm like, I'm not asking him that. He has to think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do that to people. You know what I mean? I'll know when I get there and I see it and I sit through it and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna make you talk about it and think about it. You know what I mean? Like I don't do that to people. If I'm worried about something, I don't want to fucking talk about it. You know what I mean? If I'm like got a hard test coming up, Kate's always like, "You think you're gonna do good?" I'm like,
Find out.
Shut
during
up.
it.
you know what I mean? So I don't ask a bunch of questions. You know.
I wanted to be the flower girl, but he wouldn't let me do that.
Gosh.
I
You
don't
gotta do
think
a whole
we
lot.
have one. I really
I know,
don't.
what the fuck? I think that
We didn't have a flower girl.
Baker's gonna bring the rings up for us.
It's cute as fuck.
Yeah. So we did that with my nephew.
Yeah.
And he had he was in a little suit, right? And he had a briefcase that said Agent Baker. You know what I mean? And so like when we ask him or whatever, he got a note that says your mission is to da 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 da. You know what I mean? And the mission came in that case, and that's what he ended up. You know, yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Dope.
Yeah, it was straight. It was yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's a big deal. It's a big deal, man.
I'm ready for it, man. I was texting one of my buddies today that I haven't seen in 2 years. And oh shit, I haven't seen all of them in about like 2.5, 3 years.
Damn.
And but I was texting one of them today, and I was like, dude, one of the things I'm most excited about is like seeing all my boys that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
Because it's been a long fucking time. You know, some of them I haven't seen sober.
yeah.
You know, like literally haven't seen them since I've been sober.
Yeah.
So I'm real excited about that, and I know Lisa's excited. She's nervous.
Yeah.
But
It's a blessing to keep those friends too. I didn't make it out of my addiction with many of those people. So that's crazy.
I have a couple. That's about it. My
Man,
bandmates.
and that's the thing. Like I am blessed with like my buddies back home because most of them, I'm in a group message. There's 12 of us in a group message, and we've been in a group message since like my junior year of high school.
Damn.
But most of them, like I grew up with from like kindergarten
Yeah.
up, and then the rest of them I met throughout like middle school, high school. So I've definitely been blessed in that area to have a lot of them present. You know, my best man is my buddy JK. He lives up in New York, but I don't ever see him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's cool that I'm blessed to have friends like that from back home and that still check on me. It was funny when I was in treatment. Like, a few of them reached out to my mom and my sister. Like, where's Parker? It's like that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I forgot to invite one of them.
Oh shit.
Until the other day, I called him and I was like, "Dog, I saw you on EG Snapchat.
Yeah.
Forgot to invite you."
Forgot to.
At least you remember that you forgot. You know?
Yeah. Most of mine I either stole from, fucked off in some way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I got one that's made it through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had another one that came and visited me at treatment a couple times, right? But he's still out there doing his thing. You know what I mean? He's living his own life, so whatever, right? But I didn't make it out with many of them, man. I got my brother and Gabbert. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've only got the one as well. I only got one that I made it out with. It we never used together.
Isn't it weird though that the people you meet in treatment and like us and stuff, like I feel like I've known you guys forever.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's, you know, and you lose some of those people too. Like I had 2 roommates that I was pretty close to, and I felt like these dudes, and I still love the guys. I still talk to them a lot, but like I was like, you know, you just get real close real quick. You know, it's like, but like it is weird how I feel like I've known you guys forever, and like I don't know, it's just it's cool, man.
It's a different dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Because like my guys at home, like that I messed with for a long time, we went years and never talked about the shit that like most of us talked about in IOP or just sitting in an office chopping it up or on a phone. Like you know what I mean? My guys back home, I never had a conversation that deep. It's like, hey, what you doing tonight? Trying to get fucked up?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. You know what I mean? I'll be
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean? Like that was the extent of it. So like we've redefined like what a friend actually is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I got a whole different like a friend is someone that I split my head open and homeboy will be on his way. You know what I'm saying?
Fucking
Or,
running red lights.
yeah, running red lights and shit. You know what I mean? Where before I ain't an asked the motherfucker for shit kind of person. You know what I'm saying?
I thought
Like,
this motherfucker was like laying on the ground dying.
Bro.
He calls, but what fucked me up was I forgot that he had been sick.
yeah.
So
So I was
his
still
voice
hoarse.
was- yeah, so he was still hoarse. When he called, he was like, "Hey, I just split my head." He said, "I fell when I split my head. I don't know how bad it is," but he was still hoarse, so it sounded like he was about to fucking fall out. So like I'm at work, I run and give the phone and the keys to the program manager at Tree Haven. I'm like, here, I have
Take
to
care
go.
of this.
Yeah.
I fucking hit the flashers. Get over there. I walk in. He has a towel on his head. He's like, hey, what's up? I was like, oh, fuck. I was like legit expecting to walk in and be like, there's a pool of blood. And
So-
he's laying there just.
I'm in my underwear when this happened. And granted, it's like 11 in the morning, right? So I ain't real proud of that. You know what I mean? And I jumped and hit a cabinet, boom, and I split my wig right on the top.
Fuck.
And I go, blood. I wipe it on my chest, and I go, blood. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then it's like a lot more blood. Then I go over the sink, and the sink's full of blood, and it like sprayed on the dishes over here. And I'm like, and I'm on the phone with Kate when it happened. She's like, you call Parker now, or I'm calling him. And I was like, all right, I'll call. You know what I mean? And so now I'm trying to like wipe my chest off and get clothes on in case it does need stitches, because it had bled pretty bad. I mean, that rag was full of blood. You know what I mean? And I might have needed a couple stitches, but I was like, it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Yeah, he's like, hey, do I need stitches? I was like, I don't know. Maybe he goes, let's go get a second opinion.
Let's go find someone that can see, is basically what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well, we're at like 2.5 hours, so I don't know what you guys want to wrap up with, or any
I'm good,
closing
man.
thoughts.
Yeah, let's have some closing thoughts on it. I think, for me, I think this has been a great conversation. It was a big dynamic change from the last episode. A lot of laughter, a lot of fun on this one.
Yeah.
I knew that would be the case, bringing you on, just
Yeah.
your energy, and I appreciate you doing this for us. Appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to meet up with us, man. This was a fucking great conversation.
Oh,
We explored a lot of shit. You know what I mean? And just understanding a lot more. I always get a lot out of these conversations because, yeah, we're doing it for a certain reason, but like that's something that we would have never elaborated on. You know what I mean? It would have taken a very unique conversation for us to get into that position of like talking about such like intricate things. You know what I mean? Such like vulnerable things. So I'm grateful for that, and you know, that's one reason I really like this thing. I really like that we do this. So
I appreciate the opportunity. So like I was telling him like, well, you had to jump out for a minute. That like I told Kate, I was like, if you don't call, I'm not gonna call. You know what I'm saying? If you don't text, because this was it was actually a big step for me. Like I feel kind of natural and calm, but I was like, I did like find like a short sleeve shirt to put under my sweater because I was like, I'm gonna start sweating because I'm gonna get fucking nervous. I'm gonna this. I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a bottle of water. I'm gonna fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm not a huge talk around people thing. So it was a big step for me, and I felt really comfortable. It was fun. You know what I mean? And a cool thing. So I appreciate the opportunity. I would like to. Y'all want to do a war story one sometime? I would like to come back and we do a funny one if y'all don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I would love to come back. That'd be the shit.
Absolutely.
So if y'all have me, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I didn't try to invite myself. I promise.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's fun. I definitely enjoy doing this. I've missed for about a month,
Yeah, fucker.
but man, this is a good way to end my Sundays. This is a good way to start the week. Like we said, we knew it was gonna be fun having Seth on. I get to enjoy this dude every day, and I figured, you know, our listeners would have a great time with this and get to know us, and fucking pray for me, please.
we got you, dog.
next time you're here, you're gonna be a married man.
I know, man.
Y'all got to get a catchy like sign out for these. You know what I'm saying? So like, until next time. It's like, I mean, you got to get a little fly with it. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
What you got, Dan?
But man,
We talked about a lot of good stuff. You know, fear is an opportunity to trust God. That's something I've been holding on to because I've got a lot of things that I could fear all the time, constantly. But I'll finish this as a story that I don't think I ever told you. But a couple years ago, I went and worked on cotton harvest with Seth and a couple other guys. And there was one day you were out stripping cotton, and the other guys were in their tractors and stuff, and I was on my module builder and the tractor and stuff. I don't know what the fuck I was doing, but I was climbing up to the module builder, and I don't know what I was doing. I had a drink in one hand, and I was climbing with one hand, and I just fell off the top of it and just landed flat on my back, and I just looked around to see if anybody noticed me. Nobody saw it. Just
back at it.
I felt so embarrassed, and I don't know if I told anybody that.
You didn't. You didn't.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's good. I'm really glad you got to come. I knew it was gonna be one full of laughs because you're goofy fuck, and we always end up laughing when you're around. So it's good to have you, man.
It was
Thanks for
awesome,
doing
man.
it.
Hell yeah. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks.